Hey everyone, welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott and I'm joined by Rob. It's been a while, but we are back on this channel talking wrestling. Going to be a good one. Of course, we are here for the build-up show and we're going to get into all the Royal Rumble kind of preview right after this. See you in a bit.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, and the action is right here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott. Once again, I'm joined by Rob, and we're going to preview the Royal Rumble. We're going to be here all night until the show kicks off, pretty much, and we'll have more members of the Rebellious Noise crew joining us in a little while in the form of Lucas, but also some very special guests as well. You know how we do on a build-up show, guys. We like to invite our friends from the wrestling media along and just kind of get excited about the PLE. Now, got a comment straight away from Sludge Sports. Sludge, good to see you back, mate. Thank you so much for joining us. We did also have a preview the other day, so you might have already watched this, guys. But if you haven't, and you do get some time when we do wrap up this stream, if you don't want to jump in and watch another prediction show, Dan and Lucas did one of those just a little while ago for us as well. But today it is kind of, well, you know, it's nearly clobbering time, it would seem, Rob.
Well played there with that. Yeah, it really is nearly clobbering time. Are you ready for him to come back into the Rumble? Is that something you're looking forward to? Obviously, that's a hot topic.
Yeah, man. Really excited. I think I saw just a minute ago, it's 10 years to the day. Today is when he walked out.
Is it that blimey? It's crazy how the time frame in wrestling has kind of gone. Because I mean, there's only 5 years ago that like AEW was started. Do you know what I mean? Like it's such a It just moves so quick. It moves so quick when you know. But then when we look back at it, we think 10 years. We think, wow, that wasn't so long ago, but it feels so long ago at the same time. When you go back and watch,
makes you feel old, man.
Yeah.
Sludge Sports is pumped up. I'm sure others are as well. Let us know, guys, in the comments what you're looking forward to on tonight's show as far as the Royal Rumble, but also in this, of course, we'll be predicting as well. I'm ready. I'm set up. Got my pre-show beer ready. Gonna have the snacks later on. I realize, Rob, I've shown up looking like 90s Jamiroquai here. Like I've got like the old school Adidas on, big old hat, and my big old headphones as well.
All right.
Return of the Space Cowboy.
You look good. You look
now,
good, mate.
Thanks, man. I'm feeling good. Well, sort of.
Yeah.
No, I'm feeling good about the show, though, man. I'm excited to see what happens tonight, man. Like, I've been so stressed. You know, little peek behind the curtain for the viewers. I've had some dodgy internet at the moment where I am, so apologies if it does cut out or lag or anything like that. But I've been so focused on that I haven't really thought much about the Rumble. It was only the other day that I caught up on everything that's happened since the new year, really. And the Rumble's always exciting, but I think it's an exciting time in WWE storyline wise at the moment. So we'll have to get into it. Again, predictions have been done by Dan and Lucas already on the kind of non-Rumble matches, if that makes sense. And then we'll be kind of predicting the Rumbles themselves on here as well. But myself and Rob haven't done any predictions just yet. So we're going to get into it in just a moment. You feeling good? You ready, Rob?
Do you know, I feel this is going to be one of them PLEs where this is one of my favorite PLEs of all the time. It's Royal Rumble and strangely SummerSlam. For me, they're my favorite too. I do love a good SummerSlam, especially from like growing up from the 2000s, the iconic TLC match that we first see. So, and the Rumble was one of my favorites from 2000. You know, with when The Rock won it. So. It's really interesting.
I was watching it the other day, man. I watched about half of it. It was, it still holds up, man. It's a great show.
Yeah, it really does. You know, just little things. Rikishi dancing with Too Cool, Big Boss Man not getting in until someone else comes in. You know, there was like little things like that are just yeah, man, it was fun, especially, and it was at the Garden, wasn't it?
And the rest of the pay-per-view, the rest of the show is amazing.
Yeah,
It's
a solid PLE.
the Hardys and the Dudleys in the table match. The Acolytes versus the New Age Outlaws is good. What else is there? There was another really good match. Triple H catches Jack. I didn't even got around to watching that. I only watched half the show, but I saw a little bit of the Rumble because I skipped forward. What else?
We had the
there was another really good one.
Mae Young
Jericho,
moment.
China, and Hardcore Holly.
Yeah, the IC title.
Oh gosh, yeah, all right then. So he did have his downfalls.
Other than that, though,
but there was one other match. I can't believe this is on the show.
Was it Taz Kurt Angle? Taz's debut?
Yes. Yeah, it was the opening match, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite moments.
You know, and it's just, and I think just going on from obviously that and then segueing back in, that's why I love the Rumble, because Taz was a surprise before the Rumble even happened, you know?
Yeah.
Like it was.
That's what I was thinking watching it back. I was like, he's not even in the Rumble. He's a surprise on the show, but not in the Rumble. It's so strange.
Yeah. And I think that's why I love the Rumble. Same reason for SummerSlam, you know, from the year 2000 onwards, when I really started watching it like religiously. You know, and I think that's why I love them two pay-per-views the most. But this one feels kind of, you know, one of them where you're like, no, I don't know if I'm looking forward to it or not. You know, and it kind of it then delivers. There's five.
I think it's just the Rumble is always exciting anyway. But I think there's I think it's only 4 announced.
Wait,
last year I think it was 5. Male,
men's
female,
Rumble, women's.
US title, WWE title.
Is that it? Just the 4?
Yeah, I think so. Unless something got added on SmackDown. Did you watch SmackDown? Because I haven't seen anything of that show.
I did. Yeah, I don't think anything did get added, actually.
No? Okay.
Yeah,
so we ain't got a lot to predict, but still, going to be good. Acrylic Galaxy 1 is joining us. Let's go, Rumble. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Appreciate that. Let us know what you are most looking forward to on the show. Sludge Sports says R-Truth is number 19. I did see a little thing on WWE.com where they had a video where people were picking their numbers, and the thumbnail of the video was R-Truth. So I'm assuming that's where it's come from. Number 19, R-Truth. Little spoiler there. Will he win? Probably not.
Is 19 random thought? Is he not that number because that's how long he's been at the company? Obviously, because his first Royal Rumble was 2001 as K-Quick, right? Then he took a break from...
Yeah, but that's 2022. Yeah, but he was gone for quite a while. So it won't be 9 total years, and it won't be 9 years ago, maybe. So nah.
Yeah, maybe.
Close but no cigar, Rob.
Well.
I like the thinking, but it's not right.
Yeah, well, you know, it's up there for thinking, I'm not there for dancing. It's fine.
He said it. Does this mean I have to quarantine? R-Truth has been amazing, man. I've really enjoyed his stuff for the Judgment Day. It's taking Judgment Day on a different path. You know, I didn't expect them. I didn't think they needed a comedy route, but I think it's worked really well. So fair enough. They're all great at their roles, and it's been really enjoyable. Let's get into predicting, though. Again, some of these predictions have already been made by the guys on the previous predictions and preview show, but we'll be kind of adding mine and Rob's in here, and again doing the main Rumbles, which we've got a video from Dan for that, and also Lucas joining us later on, and again a few special guests as well. So without further ado, let's get into the US title match between Logan Paul and Kevin Owens. Now, first thing I want to say about this, Rob, is I'm just looking forward to the match. I think it's going to be a fantastic match, and I think Kevin Owens is someone that can work very well with Logan. I think the storyline's been good. Exactly that. I think Logan is playing the heel. He's done exactly what we hoped he would do when he won the US title, which was really knuckle down and being a good heel and putting the title front and center and kind of promoting it. And yes, he's done some things that seem disrespectful, like pretending to sell it and all that, but it was all in character, so it's not real, you know. So he's actually given the title a lot of credit. So looking forward to the match. I'll be honest, I'm going to jump in very early to this. I don't think there's any chance that Kevin Owens is winning it, because I think Logan Paul's defending it against LA Knight at WrestleMania, and LA Knight's winning it at WrestleMania. So I think it is on its way to kind of being that, and it just seems too perfect for me. So you want him going into WrestleMania holding that title, and I think to take it off him now would be crazy. The only negative, he hasn't, and as you might expect, he hasn't been on TV much until recently, and he hasn't, what do you call it, defended it. But still, quickly going to get to a few comments here. I think a Critic Galaxy says Gunther may have a chance to win. We're going to get to Rumble in a bit, but yeah, I've seen a few people say that. I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't be against it, but yeah, we'll see. Kevin wins, says Sludge Sport. Oh, I think I did. I think I might cut out a little bit there just in case I did. Sludge Sport says Kevin wins. And oh, true, referring to what I said, I guess. So maybe he's taking that back about Kevin wins. But yeah, I do think Logan Paul's going into WrestleMania with that belt. So surely that means you can't take it off him now. So what about you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think I really enjoy the build up though, with the way they do this stuff with Logan Paul. You know, the Rey Mysterio stuff, the build for that. But I think now he's a champion, they're trying to make things a little bit more interesting. I mean, I'm not sure how much you've seen, how much you haven't seen, but they done they had Logan in the PC. Kevin Owens was in there, and then they threw a bottle of Prime.
I heard about it. I didn't see it. Okay, yeah.
And then basically he got into it, and it was shared across like Twitter and stuff. So that was like they're trying to do things on the social media side instead of always being in just on the screen like WWE screening. And I think that's the idea with Logan Paul. I think because he's a social media person, they're trying to use that as this extra thing, you know. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. But I agree with you. As much as I like Kevin Owens, and I think he's great as a babyface, great as a heel, and he's great in between. Yeah. You know, unfortunately, this isn't his moment, and I can see him getting frog splashed by Logan Paul, and Logan Paul getting the win.
Oof, frog splash as well. I do think Kevin's going to do something crazy though. I think there'll be some sort of stunt in this one. So I'm looking forward to that. But I just think it's going to be an amazing match. And again, it's a short card at the moment. We might have something surprise added. I don't know. But at the moment, what are we looking forward to is a 4-way, which is going to be very exciting. A US title match that's going to be very exciting, and 2 Rumble matches. Like even as a short card, it's a big one. So are you going Logan Paul as well?
I am, yes. Yeah.
All right, let me just mark that down. It was nice and easy, Rob. It does indeed. All right, let's move on to the only other one that isn't a Rumble. The WWE Universal Undisputed Heavyweight Championship of the World. Of course, as you can see from the graphic, we've got Roman Reigns defending against Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles. Now, this is one that I think is kind of caused a lot of debate lately, and I saw even on our own predictions that Dan and Lucas were on, they were kind of umming and ahhing about certain possibilities as well. I don't know if you know what they picked, mate, but I'm going to tell you, Dan went for Roman Reigns, but Lucas went for Randy Orton.
Does Lucas want to win this title? Like, gonna get a wooden spoon.
Yeah, by the way, this is what we're playing for. It's over here. There's my one, the original predictions trophy. You've got one as well, ain't you, Rob? Dan won one, but Dan's trophy's still in the post.
Hello, mine's got an egg in
it. Well, I guess it's an egg holder as well. That's nice.
Yeah.
My version's not an egg holder. So, he went for Randy Orton. Look, I've seen other people, it's not just Lucas. I've seen other people say this is, it might be time for Roman to lose it. And the thought being The Rock, right? And we talked about this a little while ago. We did a stream on this very channel when The Rock came back as well. But we've always said that it doesn't need to be for the title. Lucas's thing is that it's not going to happen at any other show. It will be at WrestleMania. So he thinks the title will come off of him and he'll face Roman Rock at WrestleMania. I think there's a chance that it's not this year. There's a chance that it's next year. I think Roman and this is what I think should happen, and I think might happen, is that Cody will beat Roman at WrestleMania, and Roman won't have the title, and then Roman faces The Rock the next year. The problem with that is longing out, not the thing between the two, because they did that with Cena, but longing out Roman as a legitimate threat if he doesn't have the title is what's maybe, he kind of. So, yeah. But anything can happen, man. And the World Wrestling Federation, as Jim Ross once said on SmackDown 2, is an intro. but I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I don't see it being AJ Styles. LA Knight, I think LA Knight is in this, and it's a 4-way, so that people, as I said a few months ago, don't get up in arms when he doesn't win the Rumble. And that's AJ. But LA Knight, I think we would have had a Daniel Bryan moment if LA Knight didn't win the Rumble. I think he needed to win it if he was in it, and he's not in it, and I think that was on purpose. I thought he would be in a US title match, but I think again now that's WrestleMania, and if that's WrestleMania, you don't need the world title. I think the most logical thing is to keep it on Roman and have Cody beat him, and do the Rock another time, maybe SummerSlam. But yeah, what are your thoughts, mate? So I'm going early. Roman Reigns.
Roman. Dumb.
Roman as well.
Bro, look.
Nice and easy.
Is now the 4th longest WWE champion of all time, right? Now, Bob Backlund is 1,170. I think 1,170 or something like that. And then 4 days after that, Hogan. Like it now doesn't make sense when they're at this time where he needs to drop it. And I know everyone keeps saying, I need to drop it. It's getting boring. But the record, I'm sorry, but no matter what happens now, if he doesn't drop it tonight and he goes on to Mania and he doesn't drop it at Mania, he's surpassing them, both of them reigns, and becoming the 2nd longest champion in the world of WWE.
Yeah,
and I think now.
I think he should lose at Mania still. Well, I know it's tempting to go further with the records, but I think it needs to be done. But not tonight. I think people's thing about tonight is that, oh my goodness, there's 4 people. Your typical stuff about triple threats and fatal 4-ways of like, anything can happen. Champion don't need to be pinned. Oh my goodness. It's not about that with Roman. It is about the title. Like, yeah, if Roman lost because someone else got pinned, is that the conclusion you want to this long title reign? Is that really what we got instead of them going, you know what, Sami Zayn is super over, let's do it? Is that really what we got instead of them going, you know what, Cody Rhodes super over, but we'll wait for something? Is it really about Randy Orton winning it at the Royal Rumble in a fatal 4-way, or AJ Styles or LA Knight I could get in a 1-on-1? Not tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree. Completely agree. I've been saying this. I don't know how long I've been saying it for now. And I said it to, obviously, we've got our wrestling group chat. And I said, if anything's going to happen, personally, I think now, especially as well, I don't know if you've been seeing the teasers and stuff for the WWE 2K24 cover. Right. Obviously, Cody's on the front of that. But Hogan kind of randomly popped up. And he was saying that he might have one more in him. Obviously, I'll be honest, I don't want to see it. But there's something in that. I feel like there could be something in that. So I'm not saying that Hogan's going to be at the Rumble, Rumble.
I actually think he might. So,
I mean, you never know.
I actually think he might be in tonight's Rumble. But yeah, we'll get some Rumble predictions specifically in a bit.
I was going to say, if Hogan is there, Roman's getting closer and closer to breaking his record, like Hogan's record, as well as Backlund's. So there's something. I think there could be something in that. Yeah. And to be honest, I also think if it's Roman, I think Roman and Rock shouldn't be at Mania for the simple fact that I think the match is too big for Mania, right? And I think it needs to happen personally at SummerSlam, because it'll make a massive moment at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But Roman, in order for that to happen, Roman needs to lose the title. Yeah. So I would say Rock and Roman happens this year at SummerSlam. Roman beats The Rock going into that match, and it's not for the title; it's for the head of the table. So the title isn't in the match; it's the head of the table. And then next year, Cody beats him. I think that has to be how that story plays out.
Oh, that's
I think
so low.
but, I mean, the thing is, let's say, for example, Roman wins tonight and he wins at Mania, right? And then this whole thing about Cody finishing the story, now it seems that it's kind of embedded that he has to finish the story by beating Roman. It was never nothing to do with
not. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen a lot of people say that lately as well, but I
it's
think
now.
yeah. But this is why people think, and this is what
like
Lucas was saying as well, that if Randy wins it, that can be the storyline there, Randy versus Cody and whatever. So I understand that, but I just think it has to be. Cody has to win it at WrestleMania. That it just has to be that. And then The Rock, and again, Lucas's thing of, because of course a lot of people say, what about the Chamber? You know, the rumors that Australia wanted The Rock there and all that. Anyway, I just don't think The Rock's ready yet. So I think everybody's talking about
that thing with Jinder Mahal.
Exactly. So I think a year makes sense. But for me, I'm with you, SummerSlam. Like if it weren't for the timing, I would say I wouldn't be that surprised about Chamber. I know Lucas is a big thing about the start times and that in the US and whatever. But like the show starts at like 5 a.m. Like The Rock wouldn't be on till like 7. Do you know what I mean? 7 or 8. Like, is that not like all right enough? Surely. But anyway, that's another kind of conversation for another day. We'll see if Rock even shows up tonight, because we're going to be getting into all the kind of rumors swirling around who we'd like to see, who we expect to see, both in the men's and the women's, and of course who we actually think is going to win the Rumble matches, who's going to get the most eliminations, who's going to be eliminated first, and who's going to be in the Rumble for the longest amount of time. Plenty of bonus points on offer, Rob. I'm feeling good, feeling confident. I've got a few predictions in mind when it comes to the Rumble already, but again, I haven't watched that much lately, so I'm a little concerned that maybe I am too out of the loop for that. But let's get into the Rumble matches now, and then when Lucas joins us later on, we'll get his take as well. What one should we start with? The women's or the men's?
I'm good with either. I know my picks.
Okay, let's start with the women's Royal Rumble, and as you can see from the graphic, not many women have been announced. Now that doesn't really change much for me, because you can kind of guess who's going to be in the match, right? And if not, then it's a surprise anyway, right? Let's say Jade Cargill, she wouldn't be on a graphic, and if she's coming in and winning it, it's a surprise anyway. So whatever. Now, this kind of leads you to believe a lot of times that someone on a graphic will win, and the graphic is very small. So if we were choosing from these four here, I would say the most likely for me is Bayley or Nia Jax, right? Nia Jax, because I think she actually is getting pushed quite well recently, and I think it feels like it might be for a reason. Now, I think there could be backlash, and I think maybe this time next year, Nia Jax could have kind of, because I think she's been all right since she's come back, to be fair. I know she gets a lot of hate. Bayley, I think so many other years have gone by where I'm like, man, Bayley needs to do it. But this year, there's actually a storyline they could get out of it as well. So as much as she's isn't as hot and exciting as she once was, it doesn't mean it can't be there. So I think Bayley is kind of a good shout. Sludge not in agreement with me on the Nia Jax situation. Sorry, mate. Don't tune out, all right? Please. I hope I didn't offend you too much. I'm just saying it's possible. Now, the other ones you see there, like Becky. Has Becky won a Rumble yet?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. Well, she don't need to win another one.
Didn't she win a Rumble? Wait.
Did she win? Did she win the Rumble to get to that Mania match? Is that how she won when she won the Triple Threat? Is that how she got in the match?
I believe so.
And
she
the other
took
one,
spot, didn't she?
Oh yeah. The other one in that graphic is Bianca Belair, and she's already won the Rumble, right? So she don't need to win another one. Never really a fan of the doubling up. Sludge says it was either 2019 or 2020. That Becky, I think 2019, yeah, because that's the year that she goes on to the Triple Threat. So that makes sense. It was all in time of the man and all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, I don't think that needs to happen. Of course, there's a possibility that someone not in the graphic that is within the company already. I think if anyone is a surprise entrant and winner, it will be Jade Cargill. But I'm not entirely sure they would give her that, because all the talk so far from Triple H has been like, when she's ready. So it doesn't seem like they're going to push her to the moon as soon as she starts. I do think she could debut tonight, but if she does and doesn't win the Rumble, that's not a great debut, is it?
That's
You know,
not.
so I mean, AJ debuted without winning the Rumble, but I don't know. There's just something about presentation, unless it starts a feud. You know what I mean? Someone cheats to get her out. You know, and that would make sense.
I would say someone like AJ is different because he had a big name and a history of who he was before, and just seeing the words "I am phenomenal" on a is it still called a Titantron?
Huge, yeah. It was all rumors. Yeah, Titantron,
like,
sort of.
Is he still called that? I don't know. That's what we're calling it. But up on that screen, Titantron thing, it was massive. And it was that 2016 Roman's face in that was incredible, you know. So that was a moment, but I don't think it'll work with Jade. You know, she has to. I think she needs to be brought with something. Something needs to happen, and she comes out. I think
maybe she comes at the end of the Rumble, but that'd be weird as well, wouldn't it? So
no, don't give us a Ronda Rousey moment. Crying out loud.
All right, we'll move before we get you annoyed. Cody Burris 678 says WWE superstars arrives at the Royal Rumble. Are you saying they're on their way there? I guess they are, but either way, thank you for your comment, mate. I can see you joining us from Twitch. Join us over on there if you got Twitch as well at Reb Noise, REBNOISE. Is where you find us there. Rebellious Noise on Twitch and RN Pro Wrestling here on Twitter, well, X, I should call it, and YouTube now as well. Sly Sports says it's when she got in for Lana. That makes sense. Yeah, that was the whole thing when Finlay let her get involved, wasn't it? But anyway, I do think she might show up tonight, Jade Cargill, and I would really enjoy that. But I'm gonna go with the safer bet for the victory, and I think it's Bayley, because I think it is going to lead to. And I don't know how you do it, because she's still a heel herself, but I think her throwing out her Damage Control teammates and EO being on the outside with the title, really angry about it. It's just weird that EO's the one with the title, because she doesn't feel like she'll be that. It'd be better the other way around if Bayley was the mega heel going, how dare you guys, you know, how did it's the Triple H Evolution, Batista, Randy Orton type storylines, isn't it? When you know they get bigger.
Oh,
than Triple H. It's the exact same thing, but it feels weird. Bayley can play the babyface. Don't get me wrong; she's one of the best in the modern era, in my opinion, as far as her run as a babyface originally. But I don't know, man. Like, can EO be the same strength as a heel as the kind of big bad Triple H of Evolution? You know, that's what's odd about it. But maybe it's just a numbers game thing, and they're all against her. But Bayley's got a kind of turn, and that could happen in the Rumble. She could throw out her teammates and still think this is going to be fine. And just like you did after, when Randy's holding the belt on top of Batista's shoulders, and he goes back, and Triple H does the classic gladiator thumbs down moment. Like, we could get a moment like that on SmackDown or Raw, whatever show it is they're on these days. But yeah, I think there's a lot they could do with that. So I'm going to go with a safer bet and say Bayley's going to win a Royal Rumble. And she needs to, by the way, in her career. She needs to win it once anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing she's got left to do, you know. Obviously, she will never win the Divas title. That's something that Charlotte had.
But that's kind of merged into, anyway. So.
Yeah, but I mean, Bayley was the first Grand Slam champion, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it comes up on the graphic as well on SmackDown. Like when
I believe so. Let us know in the comments if that is correct or not. You guys do the searching. But look, I think it needs to happen. And I don't know if you've seen her promo talking about the vision that she had. Have you seen that?
No. Tell me.
So she says about the vision of she come back and she brought back like the two with her when it come against Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
And then later on, it says that then someone else came in and Asuka come in. They're becoming the most dominant force in women's wrestling right now, and in the WWE they're going to take over. And then she done like this weird laugh, but I think this is the prep for her to kind of turn babyface. I can see it. I think
like
all the promo stuff they've done.
Yeah.
She's kind of been left out, or there've been a group with them talking, and Becky and Bayley's kind of come along a little bit later.
They've clearly been working on it for a few months, like even at the very beginning when they all joined, when it was as big a team as they have today, when Asuka joined and what was her name? Kairi Sane returned and whatever else. It was clear there was this thing about Bayley not really being part of it. So yeah, it's got to go there eventually. It's funny that we're bringing all this up because a few months ago it looked like the stable was already dead in the water, and I actually asked Bayley in person, what's going on with Damage Control? Is it Damage Control Alt Delete? I said, are we restarting a task, ending task? It's to kind of a computer phrase. But basically, yeah, she said, "What talking about, like, we're strong and all this kind of stuff," and they've got stronger since, to their credit. But if you haven't already, please, if you get some time, check out our interviews on this very channel with the likes of Bayley and more WWE superstars. A critic Galaxy says Becky for the win. That will be, you know what, it's tough, isn't it? Because I was watching Becky's promo with Rhea the other day, and like
I feel like that's set,
Yeah, it was good, but I just can't help but think, all right, Becky, it's a bit. I don't really care as much anymore. It's. I hate saying that about wrestlers.
How dare you?
Like, she doesn't have the cool factor at the moment. Like, there's a shine, there's a lightning in a bottle moment, and it's gone for Becky for me. Like, I'd still seeing her live. Like when we came out of the pandemic and saw her live again, I remember like being like, her star power is unbelievable, and she still is. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not here going, I wish Becky wins tonight. Like, if she does, I'll go, well, that was a bit of a waste. Could have been given to someone else. Because she's done it all. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you always want that underdog, that person that's breaking through. Like LA Knight is that guy at the moment. In 2 years' time, I don't think I'll care whether or not LA Knight wins a match. As much as I'll appreciate him and enjoy him, like, it's about that climb to the mountaintop. That's what it is for me in wrestling.
Yeah. No, I get that. Weirdly, I mean, I'm a big Becky fan. And I don't think this is her Rumble moment, I think she can now. I think she's now credible enough as a wrestler, as like a mega star power, to be able to do something within the WWE that doesn't need a title. She dropped down to NXT and she tried to elevate people down there. She worked with people down there and she supported them. She dropped the title to someone else. She's come back to Raw or SmackDown.
Her feud with Trish was good.
Yeah.
I like
define good, mate.
But again, it's not that I don't like Becky or respect her or anything. It's just like she's not the exciting character for me at the moment, and it's hard to get that. Can come back. It can. Don't get me wrong. Roman Reigns. Like, nobody expected to ever feel the way about Roman that we have for the past 3 odd years. But it's happened, so it is possible. But and Seth Rollins, her husband, I kind of refer to it every now and then. I remember doing on Talking Beans when we were doing podcasts for wrestling on there, and one of the subjects we spoke about was like why Seth Rollins isn't cool anymore, and he's cool again. Like, I've really enjoyed him again recently. So
don't get me started on Seth. Please,
we'll go there another time. But like, it can happen. But for me, you know what? That promo, like you said, it does feel like that match is going to happen. What I've really enjoyed about this year's Rumble build is them basically before the Rumble having these Raw after Rumble type moments. We're going and you can visualize that match, and I think it's great because now it means if she does win, we've already got that and everybody's ready on board to see that feud. And if she doesn't win, we had that teaser and we're going to get another promo like that from someone else who actually is going to go after Rhea or, Io or whoever it may be. So, and if she don't win the Rumble, but she still goes after not Io, but she goes for Rhea still, Io, that's where that came from. Then that's ready-made as well, So I've really, really liked. Again, I haven't been able to watch as much lately. I've just seen the highlights, but from what I have seen, a lot of the kind of I'm winning the Rumble, and then it's me and you. Punk and Cody Rhodes did the same sort of thing, and talking about the future between those guys. Like, you can see a route for a lot of these wrestlers, and that's what's making this Rumble a really fun one to predict.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. But back on with the women's, my thought is Bayley. I feel like it's the time for Bayley to do it. She's gonna get a Rumble moment, and I think as she points to the WrestleMania sign, they could either turn on her there,
attack her, which would be great.
Yeah, or they wait till Raw, know, or another time, maybe Elimination Chamber or something like that, and then they do that.
You know what?
But I don't know.
The moment would be good because that's such a cliche point, and they use it on the footage, and they can always still use that first few seconds when they actually need to use that shot. But then they've got the rest of it, which is an iconic moment, but that's never happened before. Someone gets attacked during the point. That would be wicked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for that. I think that would be great, and I think by doing that, I want to see this rebuild of Bayley, but I want it done in a specific way. As she's down on her luck, she's on her own again. You know, she feels beaten. She's betrayed. She needs a smile back. She needs to get her hug moment back. And then it's this whole big build up. And then Mania comes. Bayley comes out. Bayley buddies appear again. And then she's this hugging.
Yeah. Oh, at Mania as well. That'd be so cool.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's the perfect full circle. And then if she wins the title, which she has that moment of winning the title at Mania. And I feel that that's for Bayley, that's that whole moment.
Man, that is so good. I love that because I like the idea of her still using her theme song and, you know, being a baby face, but not quite fine and being like, I need to find something. And then the old song hits and then we see the biggest Bayley buddies we've ever seen. That'd be so cool. Like that moment alone would be great. So yeah, I'm up for that, man. Right. So we've got winner at least for the women's. I'd say let's hold off on the most eliminations and things like that. Let's move straight into the men's, and then later on we'll come back to the kind of bonus points for the women's and the men's Royal Rumble. So, are you going for Bayley as well then?
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that you think second choice that you know it's not an official pick, but are you close? Like, do you think Jade Cargill could come in and win it? Do you think Nia Jax could win it? Or
do you know I'm going to annoy Sludge here. But if Nia won it, I wouldn't be against it. I would not. I really wouldn't. I feel like she's kind of been put in that spot where they've used her botches to say, and they're using it kind of as a way to push her forward. Because like she injured Becky before, and then they've done the broken nose thing again, and then she made her bleed again. Like there's something there. But my thing is, if she wins the Rumble, which I'm not against, who does she face? It's either Ripley or Io Sky. And I think like both of them.
When you picture the feud at Mania, like in the match at Mania, and the feud that leads up to it, it's hard. But then that's why Chamber makes things interesting because sometimes the people with the titles at the Rumble don't even have them come Mania. So Sludge is updated us here. So Nia Jax will win is like saying Chelsea Green will win. Hey, Chelsea Green could win.
Hey,
okay,
I wouldn't be against Chelsea Green winning either, to be honest. I don't mind that.
Yeah. Well, she's been more of a tag team lately, isn't she, with Piper Niven, who on her own, I'd say Piper Niven would be a cool winner as well, but different time, and we'll see. But okay, so we're both going for Bayley on that one. Guys, let us know in the comments who do you think is going to win. I know we've had a few already. We've got Becky there. Sludge, who do you think is going to win the women's title? The women's match, I should say. What was you going to say there, Rob?
I was going to say, are we going to maybe discuss who we think may appear at the Rumble, or do you want to leave that for later?
I think we leave that for later on. We've got a few hours here, guys. Stick with us on the channel. Again, special guests join us later who are going to surely bring us their kind of thoughts as far as debuts, returns, surprises, and things like that as well. So we'll get to that later. Let's get to the meat and potatoes first of all on the men's Royal Rumble, and let's predict who thinks going to win that one. Now, the graphic for this one, Rob, a little bit bigger. We've got a few more names in the hat for this one. Again, nowhere near the amount you sometimes get, but I like that. We're looking at surprises here. So we've got Bobby Lashley, we've got Damian Priest, we've got Shinsuke Nakamura, we've got Gunther, we've got CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, we've got R-Truth, Kofi Kingston, Santos Escobar, and Jimmy Uso. Now,
I love that you know the difference as well between the Usos. It's so nice to see because before they were just one person, and if you put them side to side, they look like one of them candle things, right? But now they've got their own
candle things. What?
When you put two faces together that are symmetric and it looks like another candle. That's the Usos.
It looks like a candle.
What? Is it like a candle or a vase or something like that? A candle holder, and it might be a vase. I don't know. It's something along them lines.
What the hell are you talking about? Right. Anyway, if anyone in the comments knows what the hell Rob's on about,
I just have a really strong sugary coffee, so apologies.
Here we go. We've got an update from Sludge saying that it's missing Theory, Grayson Waller, and Carlito because they are confirmed as well. Okay, so good to know. I don't think any of those are winning the Rumble. Another time and place, Theory and Grayson Waller, maybe. Carlito's time is gone. But again, that was something that should have maybe happened before. But anyway, let's get into them. And of course, possibility of surprises and things like that. This is going to be a fun one to predict. Let's. I
mean, I can go first.
I went first last time, so do you mind going first this time?
That's cool.
Go
on. Gunther.
Well, that was quick.
Right, it's happening. It has to happen, right? I mean, he's done what he can, but
I don't know if I'd be happy. I'd be happy for him and what it means for him in the future. I'd be very unhappy for the IC title because he's made it mean something, and if he loses it, if he lets go of it and doesn't lose the title, that, in my opinion, would be a terrible thing to do after making the title look so strong. So, yeah, I'd be disappointed in that. But I get what you're saying, because this time last year, he was number 2. Like, he came second, and it looked like he might win it. But if he... and usually that means the next year, sometimes they're knocking on that door even further, and they actually do win it. So I get where you're coming from, and I love him as a wrestler, but I'm just scared about what it'll mean for the IC title.
Yeah. This is my thought process, right? Gunther comes in, he wins the Rumble. Did Sludge just say either? And he's moaning at me about saying Ajax. Come on now. Gunther wins it. I would like it. The Gunther loses. This is one of them moments where it's the opposite of Roman. Gunther has to put the title, the IC title, on the line at Chamber. He's in the Chamber.
Yeah, but then you can't look strong by winning the Rumble and then lose the IC title. The only other way around it is if you put them both on the line at WrestleMania or something like that. But then you got to, we've had Hogan Warrior with that scenario and whatever else.
See, I think the idea of Gunther losing the IC at Chamber without actually being taking the L from it. Do you know what I mean? I think something happens with him. He gets pinned by all of them, where he's the first one in.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, Chamber. I get what you mean.
He gets literally damaged completely. And then this is like, well,
kind of obvious, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know, the idea of that, or even if he's in a triple threat match, I would say, look, put him in a triple threat with Drew and Sheamus again, and then have one of them win it at Chamber. I'm not even against that, because the idea of Gunther not technically being pinned for that title, because then when it goes on, it's a big thing. And I think if he does win it, he's going after Seth. And I think that needs to happen.
Yeah, again, that's another great one that was hinted at on Raw and SmackDown and that. Like I said, these little promos I've had lately. I'm just kind of put you in. I'm locking you in, mate. So you're Gunther, however you want to say it. That's who you're going with. Look, it's not a bad pick. I do think it's kind of likely. But yeah, there's a concern for me with the IC title.
All right. But let me give you it on my opposite side of things, like my thought process of why I think it makes sense. Is because if it's Punk, that will annoy me because he's come back and he's just won it, right? And I just think, I get it, but Punk doesn't need to win the Rumble. Here's the name already, right? If Cody wins it back-to-back and he has his Austin moment, great.
Yeah.
Right?
Nah, I'd really be annoyed if Cody won it.
Right? Exactly. So who else is there? After those two, who else is there that you think? I'm okay with him winning the Rumble?
I'll get to my prediction in a minute, but
you tell me our truth.
I have got another interview to plug for us here, though. We've got a chat on this channel with Gunther himself and Ludwig Kaiser, as you can see, talking all things Imperium and the IC title and things like that as well. Now, we are about to bring in our first kind of introduction to a new guest on this this very stream. I was going to say an outside guest, but of course it's not. It's well, you'll see who it is when we do our countdown. So are we ready to enter them into the Rumble, Rob?
Now, every time we do a countdown, right, it never sounds in time, and everyone complains about it. And you're
Yeah.
laggy.
I'm laggy today as well, but
I'll
we'll do
let
it.
you
It'll be
count
fun.
down.
All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's Lucas.
Hi guys, right?
I thought you might sing a theme song or something.
Well, I expected like a proper graphic for it. So I thought you'd do.
Hey, don't make me give you Santina Morella treatment, man. We'll throw you straight out. Right, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's Rumble Saturday. It's an exciting
Yeah,
time
really excited. So I see you were kind of in the background just there. We've been talking, of course, about the men's Rumble. So it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on what Rob was saying about Gunther. But we'll come back to your thoughts on the women's Rumble in a bit. We've done our picks for it, but we haven't done all most eliminations and all that kind of stuff anyway. And again, we've got a few extra friends from the rest of the media joining us later as well. But first of all, thoughts on Rob's pick for Gunther.
That's a solid pick, really. Like, it feels... Honestly, like I know this is a bit, maybe a bit hyperbole, a bit early to say, and you could say this, or especially if you're in WWE circles, you could say this every year about the Rumble. But honestly, this men's Rumble is so stacked, and is so many people could win, and by people not winning, it's actually more than like, well, what do they now do at Mania?
What are they gonna do?
Like. I don't think I've felt this way in like a long time about a Rumble match. Like the Rumble is obviously a very exciting time in WWE because it is essentially the only night of the year where everyone is kind of on level pegging. Because we've seen it happen before where the underdog wins the Rumble match and then goes on to WrestleMania. We've seen big names return during the Rumble match and go on and change and alter everything we thought we knew about the storylines and the directions. It's like one night of the year where everyone, no matter whether you've been watching this for 3 months, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years or more, can get excited about. And the men's Rumble match, like Gunther, is such a solid pick, and there is precedent to this, where you do see people when they are the runner-up in the Rumble, that is a somewhat indication that the company is high on them. But we have seen people crash and burn. Like obviously Ryback was runner-up one year, and the next year I think he was pretty much not.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? Because even if he doesn't win it, he is still high up because he's still IC champ. He's still presented well. So I think it could be more, the former, like you mentioned.
But I think I don't think that's the right direction that they want to go in. Like I think the thing is that. The segment I've seen a clip of the segment he did on Raw with Seth Rollins, which was a very interesting segment because Gunther's been away for a little bit. They haven't really flirted with him doing anything of anyone really since he stuck with the Miz died down. And obviously we knew that Miz stuff was just kind of like filler for until to get us to this season, of course. But ultimately, like Gunther's not been presented like this previously, has he? He's always very much kept himself distant from the world champion. The big
picture,
And I guess it made sense when he was on SmackDown because it's like, how could we have the longest reigning IC champion, Gunther, and then now you got a guy who's eclipsing him by probably double the length of the title reign, in Roman Reigns. But obviously with Gunther and Rollins, it is a case of like Gunther is like the more credible threat, you could argue, because he's held his belt for so long. But I don't see him winning the Rumble match. Like I think he's a good shout, but this year it seemed it's hard because they're doing the title match early on as well, aren't they, with Roman? And there's so much not tied into this. Like for me, really,
so I personally think there's. Go on, sorry.
I said for me, really, this Rumble is more about the people who don't win it than the person who does. The person who does, we know will get that slot at WrestleMania. But then it's a case of, let's say Punk wins. It's in a case of, well, Cody's there, Gunther, Like, what belt does he challenge for? Like, there's always people waiting in the wings. Even like a Jey Uso, Bobby Lashley. Like, there's so many people who you're like, but they should all really have like big spots at WrestleMania. And obviously they're not going to get it because the Rumble winner is going to get it. And actually, before you deal with the fact that there's unknowns here, where how many people they announced for this match? I think like 20 people have announced. And there's so many people.
So
there's rumblings about John Cena. There was rumblings obviously about Brock Lesnar. There was rumblings about a lot of people kind of being a part of this match, and people who you think, because I would like, when I look back, like recently I was rewatching some old Rumbles, and I watched back the 2017 Rumble that Orton won, and I remember at the time being shocked that Orton won, but then like when you watch it back, you're gonna go, oh, actually kind of makes sense that he won. Like it was the first one they did in the stadium. It was the first, he had come off a kind of rough 2016 where he was kind of all over the place, and it was like a nice way to get a big win. He had just started a big storyline with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family at the time. So when you watch it back, you go, oh, you know what, that actually makes sense that he won the Rumble. He was deemed essentially a big enough name to be the first win in a stadium, and the other people as well were all part time. So Undertaker, like the main guys, like people like Undertaker, Goldberg, Lesnar, they're all part timers, and it's like, well, even though Lesnar didn't win a Rumble after that, again, and Edge's one as a part timer, I guess, as well. But it still was like they're not going to give it to those people, so it made sense. And so this is the same thing here, isn't it? Like where there's so many people where you can just go, oh, well, they could win. So like Gunther could win, and he could challenge Seth Rollins for the championship, or he could even challenge Roman Reigns. And those are matches which I think lots of fans would be interested in seeing, including us. But that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, it's always that thing of like that person getting the breaking through the glass ceiling to get that next level. But I do feel that this Rumble is about a solidified main eventer winning. Like someone who's already there is going to win, in my opinion. I'll get to my kind of pick in a minute, but I just think it is because of what you said. Sorry?
Stop teasing us. I want to know.
No, but Lucas's point there of like, what does this person do? Otherwise, there are too many of those. With the main eventers already to squeeze them in places without one of them, in my opinion, one of the big names needs the Rumble so that the other one can get away with not winning the Rumble and be in the second big spot. So we'll get to that in just a moment. So Rob's official pick is Gunther. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll throw up Dan's video. Dan's not with us at the moment, but he sent us a video via satellite to coin from the old Rock days, and we'll see what he's got to say. Let me just make sure. Actually, I might even be bringing up the wrong clip. So if I bring up the wrong clip, we'll hear what he's got to say about whatever match he took. No, that's the wrong one. Right.
You literally got Santino treatment.
A little return by the name of The Rock.
Oh,
I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of him, but yeah, a guy called The Rock apparently is due to take one of the main slots at WrestleMania. And if that's the case, then it would make more sense for the winner of the Rumble to be somebody that can potentially go after Seth Rollins and the Raw World Heavyweight Championship, as opposed to Roman Reigns Championship, which is on SmackDown. That's not to say, though, that Roman is going to be the champion coming out of Royal Rumble. More on that on the other predictions. But yes, so for me, I feel as though the winner of the match, and WWE have spoken a lot about this back-to-back thing, and I think there's no smoke without fire. So I feel as though it is going to be Cody Rhodes to win this year's Royal Rumble back-to-back. I think Gunther, Punk, and Rhodes, I think, may well be your final three, but I think it's going to be Cody that comes out with his arm raised at the end of the match and pointing at that WrestleMania sign. Whether it is indeed that he goes on to face Roman Reigns for that championship is a different matter. As me and Lucas recently discussed, it's not always been about beating Roman Reigns. It's about winning that title. So whoever holds it coming out of this show, whether it is Roman Reigns, whether it's Randy Orton, whether it's LA Knight, whether it's AJ Styles, even, to be fair, even Damian Priest could do it, because let's not forget, the Money in the Bank contract is not solely for the Raw World Heavyweight Championship. Sorry, I keep saying Raw. It's the World Heavyweight Championship that's over on Raw. There we go. That's a little bit better. But yeah, so now moving on. Who is going to be the Iron Man of this Royal Rumble? Well, for me, I feel as though it is once again going to be Gunther. I think that Triple H is very, very high on Gunther, so I think he's going to have a very, very good showing here. As for the most eliminations, now, I mean, you can't really look past many of the big guys here. So, you know, if they're all going to be in the match, then you're looking at your likes of your Otises, your Big Bronson Reeds, your Ivars, your Omoses, those kind of people. I think I'm going to have to go with Big Bronson Reed. I think Big Bronson Reed is going to be the man who is going to get the most eliminations. As for the first person to be eliminated from this match, well, I feel as though this is going to be another year where The Miz is going to be kind of a sacrificial lamb. And I think The Miz is going to be the one that gets eliminated first from the men's Royal Rumble match. So yeah, I think that is that's it. I think so. What was it that I said? So I think I said Cody Rhodes.
What was it I said?
Gunther's going to be the Iron Man. The Miz is going to be eliminated first, and most eliminations for Big Bronson Reed.
All right.
So, enjoy the Royal Rumble, guys.
Cool.
Just before you start, for those who are unaware, Dan is actually taking his pilot's license, which is why he's so used to it.
So you've got me dressed like Jamiroquai, Dan dressed like a pilot, and you've
got a luchador in the building.
Luchador, yeah. What was Lucas dressed as? Now, quickly going to get to Sludge's comment here because he says Gunther, Punk, Cody, big names, and then again with the Ivar. What's going on with Ivar?
Get out of here with Ivar.
Right. Let's Matt Ball, Mrs. Baby's debut. I just thought Dan took off his gimp mask. Remember that Conor McGregor will make an appearance during a fatal four? What?
Oh no!
Are they really?
Honestly,
well,
I would turn it off if that happened.
Bringing it to my look. I've always wanted Conor McGregor to show up in WWE. Just like I spoke about Becky Lynch earlier on, weirdly enough, both Irish. He's just not as exciting these days as 5 years ago. I'd be all over that. I'd still think it's great money to be made, but that's a strange match for it. Source, trust me, bro. Nice. It's right. Okay. So let's get back to some of Dan's picks there. So he's gone for Cody Rhodes 2 in a row. Not a fan, in my opinion. I hate when they do it twice. Number 1, 2 in a row. I'm not a fan of either. And I think Cody could literally just get the match he wants without winning the Rumble. I think it'd be a wasted spot. It was last year. If the whole thing of he didn't do it last year because he's going to win it next year, it was bad enough having that repeat main event and making us wait another year. We don't also need him to win the Rumble again because we told this story last year. I don't need that again. Sludge Sports kind of jumped in with the most eliminations, saying Punk and the first out Jinder. That's an interesting call because I think usually I'd say but after a certain person's Twitter kind of tirade, I think WWE want to kind of weirdly enough protect Jinder now to kind of spike that.
Jinder needs to be in the final 4.
Jinder should bloody win it. Like everybody jumped on this Jinder fan train recently because of those comments online, which, by the way, Tony Khan was absolutely right about. What Khan was saying is that he hasn't been presented well when you're supposed to believe he could win the title. He wasn't dissing Jinder Mahal. He was saying he's been booked bad. And I 100% agree with that. And I've always liked Jinder Mahal, and I actually liked his WWE title run. So there, everybody jumping on the bandwagon, screw you. Anyway, he also says first eliminated Miz. Interesting choice there. I think I can see it. Most eliminations, Bronson Reed going for a big guy. He says Gunther is the Iron Man. If he's not going to win it, I do think he could have a role like that as well. But that's Dan's official picks. We'll get into our most eliminations and all that kind of stuff later on in the stream. But let's knuckle down and pick our winners as well. Then I'll kind of just jump in with mine. I actually think it will be and should be CM Punk. I know that might be controversial in some parts of the internet, and I'm usually, again, Money in the Bank and Royal Rumble, I think it should be that someone breaking from the kind of mid card to the higher thing. But let's be honest, CM Punk never won the Rumble before. He should have that on his resume. He's come back surely with a big old promise of you're going to do this, and I think the easy answer is Cody goes after Roman, because that's a story that makes sense and doesn't need the Rumble win. Someone needs to win to get on the other side, and I do think the best match going forward, now that it looks like Seth's going to be all right, is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, and it's kind of is a match made in heaven. You know, it kind of it writes itself, and CM Punk comes back. And I know, like you said earlier on, Rob, Punk coming straight back into the door and winning something like the Rumble might leave the bad taste in some people's mouths, but in my opinion, the man's earned it. You know, his career justifies a Rumble win at some point, and I think coming in hot at the moment, there's no better time for him to win it. Next year, I think it would be worse. And, you know, if he won it as a legend, let's be fair, he's getting into legend status at the moment. So, and that's never a good person to win it, in my opinion. Yeah, I think at the moment, because of the storyline with Seth being ready-made and someone needing to kind of go after a title, and then for me, it's not going to be someone going after Roman. As someone said, I think it might have been you earlier. No, probably Dan saying that someone's probably going to go after the Raw title. For me, CM Punk makes the most sense.
But under your version, then, is The Rock and Roman off the table then?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So I said it before you joined us earlier, Lucas. I think Rock and Roman might be next year. Because like they did with Cena, I think Rock coming back recently was, and the head of the table was kind of, and he kind of, you know, joked about it when he, you know, he grow as well. I think it looks like, for me, that's going to be next year or SummerSlam. And it doesn't need the title whatsoever. So
just don't do it. Because who wants to really see it? Honestly, who cares?
Shut up, Rob. I'll be kicking you out of the stream.
Who actually cares about it? Come on now.
Right, look. I've got CM Punk. I'm gonna.
Why?
Yeah. Oh, shut up, Rob. You're getting ridiculous now. A few months ago, when we spoke about it, couldn't believe your thoughts then. I don't want to hear him again, mate.
Right. A few months ago, like this was last year, by the way. Right. When this was being teased, mate, I said on the stream, when I rambled, I was like, it doesn't need to happen. I don't want to see it.
It does need to happen. It's just not the title.
Yes, but there's never going to be another good time to do it. If Roman drops the title when it's Roman versus Rock, Roman's already been defeated, so we know he can be defeated.
Yeah, but it's about the head of the table. It's about passing the torch to Roman in the family. That's what it's about. It ain't about the belt.
But then what's the point in passing the torch to someone who's barely there the same amount of time as the damn Rock? Like, it doesn't make sense. Passing the title means you pass it to someone that's going to elevate the company.
To quote a fantastic wrestling theme song, here comes the money. That's why you're bloody doing it, Rob. All right.
I hate it. I hate the idea of it.
I hate that you hate the idea. How about that? Right. I see we've got another guest waiting in the wings, so we're going to bring him in just a moment. Before we do, let's get the answer from Lucas. Who do you think's winning the Royal Rumble, mate, on the men's side?
See, because I do think that Dwayne and Roman is happening, don't think it'll be for the championship. I think similarly that the Rumble winner will be a Raw person and will go on, but I don't think it matters which belt they fake. The thing is, you say that obviously Cody can get back to his stuff with Roman without winning the Rumble, which is true, but then Punk can also do that with Rollins. He can just, the Chambers next month, like.
But at least one of them hasn't already happened, is my fault.
Yeah. I get that. But I like to think that we're not dealing with the same Punk from like 10 years ago, especially from a WWE kind of standpoint. And I don't know, I think he'd be runner-up to the winner, who I believe will be Cody Rhodes.
Oh, okay. Look, their promo on Raw, by the way, fantastic. Like, yeah.
And
so
I think it was good how they done that without the low blows, and it is a big kind of telltale from how different WWE is to AEW and how it is going one way to the other, because they were able to have that segment and to not have to like throw shade at their former employer. I guess with Punk's thing, it might be that you can't throw shade because of NDAs and all that kind of stuff.
But the carrot was
I
there.
think
They
anyway,
didn't go
like
for
that
it, so,
stuff, like it just wouldn't be on the table in WWE, but it's not going to have it. But I think there's some interwoven stories here. Like, you got the whole like Drew, like he's had that recent resurgence. He hasn't signed his contract, but I just think that Cody kind of solves a lot of problems because again, like they've got the whole situation where The Rock hasn't signed on to wrestle the match yet, but he might then sign. And then it's a case of, well, Rollins is injured and he's not injured, but then you know what I mean? Like it's been going on like that back and forth. So they might need to do another story with that. Cody's at least like his story is what people keep forgetting. Like his story isn't really against Roman. It's just about getting that bloody belt. Like it doesn't matter which belt it is, as long as the belt says world champion on it. It doesn't matter. Like if he has to win the Rumble and then go to NWA and finish his story there, like it doesn't matter. the story is just I need to do the one thing my dad didn't do, and become like the WWE a world champion in WWE essentially.
Yeah.
And whether it's the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Championship, the Universal Championship, whatever it's going to be, like that's all we need to do. So I think people are overcomplicating by obsessing with that. It has to be against Roman, and for that WWE Championship, it doesn't. Like it can be against any other person for any other equivalent world championship.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, and the fact that they haven't done anything with the Bloodline and Cody for so long, it's like really going to go back to that.
So,
sorry, do you then drop him over to SmackDown again, like so you can feud with Roman? Like after like he's been on Raw for like so long.
But they had that little walk up on the ramp a few months ago, didn't they? They flirted with it. I think it's happening. Hey, so go on, Rob. You say your bit. I'll say my bit. We'll bring in our special guest.
Yeah. No, I just going off of what Lucas said. Like, if Cody wins it, two things. One, I feel like if he gets the Austin moment, he has to win at Mania. And personally, I don't think Cody's winning at Mania. That's my first thought.
That's crazy.
And then my next thing would be. I feel like wait, who was the other person you said? It was like Cody and
Punk.
Oh, you said Punk, right? Yeah. So it's like with all that stuff going, I just feel like it needs to be someone else. It has to be because the whole Cody thing, him winning it twice, isn't great. And then if he does go that way, yes, he's facing Roman. If he faces Roman and then he doesn't win, fans are going to be annoyed, right? That's my first thing. The next thing, by Cody double winning again, he's getting that like Austin treatment of the double win. Now, if Cody doesn't win after getting a double wins, back-to-back wins at Rumble, what's the point in him being in the main event? Like ever. Because he hasn't.
But see, it all depends on his other.
But I think
it's because you don't think he'll win at Mania, so therefore that's affecting your Rumble pick. And Lucas don't think it needs to be Roman, so that's affecting his. And Lucas, obviously, on our predictions, you went for Randy Orton winning the title tonight anyway. So that kind of, so I get what you mean. It doesn't. It's not about Roman. It is about the title.
No, but I think the fact that it's embedded, now that Cody has to beat Roman. It's like two different stories being merged into one. Like for Cody.
When has Cody said he has to beat Roman?
No. What I'm saying is the way it's being portrayed now, with Roman being the champion. And Cody beating the Bloodline, siding with Jay, and all that sort of stuff. It feels like Cody's been embedded into this Bloodline saga. Yeah. Same with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and so it just feels like to make that story complete, Cody has to beat Roman because otherwise, if he wasn't for Sami, he would have won last year. Like it's too.
I think he will. I really do think he will. And I think, going back to Lucas's thing earlier about people not having things to do, if it's not Punk and it's not Cody, in my opinion, that means only one of them gets the match, right? So for me, it would definitely be Cody and Roman. But that means, say that Gunther wins it, right? He faces Seth. That makes sense, right? What does Punk do at Mania? What the hell? Like, that doesn't... It's Punk Seth, surely. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, that's...
Yeah, and you're still
anyway, that doesn't need a title either.
Have, like, Drew...
Drew, it doesn't need a
Joe
title. Yeah,
Uso,
Drew.
Uso.
Yeah, there's a lot. So, all right, let's get to some comments. We've got Sean Blundell says, "Hello, fellas. Hello, Sean. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. Really appreciate you giving us your time here tonight. Hope you're getting hyped up for the Rumble like we are. The build-up show. By the way, guys, we do this every single PLE. We do our predictions before it a few days, and then we come on here and kind of do last-minute stuff as well, where we talk about all the rumors swirling. So we'll get into that in a moment, all the kind of possible surprises on tonight's show. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We do build-up shows like this, recaps, reviews, also interview WWE superstars and cover other promotions as well. Also got a comment here from Rico Maddox 83, which I got to say is one of the coolest names I've heard in a while. Rico Maddox, what a name. Rock wins the Rumble. He says, this is the thing as well. Like, we're all talking about Rock and that. Rock could genuinely come back and win the Rumble tonight. Like, that seriously is... Shut up, Rock. I'm just...
No.
All right. Calm down. We're going to get to another comment here from Pepper Reese. That's another cool name as well. Join us on Twitch. Says, do you think Punk is being used as a smoke screen to make everyone believe he's going to win Rumble instead of, say, Cody or, well, anyone? I think Punk will be in the last two, depends who are there with him. Yeah, I think it's a possibility that Punk is, like you say, used as a smoke screen to kind of, and that is it. Him and Cody could both be that, and maybe they go into a match at Elimination Chamber to spite each other because they both feel like they've ruined each other's chances. Because you remember when the whole thing of Shawn was trying to win the Rumble and to get to Taker, and it looked like that dream was over, but of course it wasn't. They found a way, so there is a possibility there where the two wrestlers are now reminded, and they go into, because that would be a cool match at Chamber, for example, which I think is going to be a huge show. By the way, covering that in depth because it's on at a reasonable time for us here in the UK as well. I say reasonable, it's very early in the morning, but we'll be covering that in depth. So stick right here with us on this very channel. That's what I mean. It's decent, like it's still, but you still got to get out of bed.
Like very early.
But yeah, well, okay, not very early. Okay, fair enough. You called me on my laziness, right? Anyway, we'll be there covering that with a build-up show. I say very early because we've got to be live from like 8 in the morning, mate.
I guess so. Yeah.
So there we go. We'll be covering that on this channel. But anyway, enough about the Chamber. It's all about the Royal Rumble. It's all about counting down those exciting entrants, and we're going to do that right here on this channel as well. With our next guest joining us tonight. We'll do the countdown once again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's Andrew Scores. How you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, good man. Good to see your face. It's been a while, mate. But yeah, glad to have you on. I'm assuming you're as hyped up as us about the Rumble tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing what you guys got to say. Obviously, over on Wrestling Royalty and Gimme Hill, we did our sort of preview show last night. Lots of similar conversations going on, different theories, sort of almost the same like patterns though. There's you kind of end up talking yourself in circles as to who might be the winner, what direction they're going to go in. So yeah, I think I always think this is everyone's favorite pay-per-view or premium live event. WrestleMania is its own thing, but in terms of like pay-per-views you get really hyped up for, I don't think anything kind of creates a buzz quite as well as the Royal Rumble does. So yeah, really excited for tonight. And there's a lot of possibilities. So excited to talk about with you guys.
I think that's what makes it exciting though. The fact that there's so many possibilities, and like there's so many different directions they could take it in, and like there's obviously there's now 2 Rumbles, there's 2 belts they could all challenge for, so it's like a case of there's so much that could happen. And obviously returns or people.
The title match itself, could throw a spanner in the works.
That's why I kind of wish I had like a women's title match as well.
Yeah.
Because Dave, I don't know when you're going to talk about women's Rumble, but I do think it's a bit lackluster this year. I hate to say it. I think it's kind of got forgotten about, and I think it can still deliver, but it just feels a bit like they're putting so many eggs, which is another reason why I think I'm so excited and so gassed for the men's Rumble, because I'm thinking there's like a big story happening here, whether we're getting like Punk and Rollins or like, Rock and Roman coming out of this. Like there's so many possibilities for both those championships, and it's just a shame when we think about previous women's Rumbles where we've been. Like it feels like this one kind of got a bit kind of by the wayside. Because I don't think even now they've only announced like 7 people for it. So
let's
They're
focus.
just calling everyone NXT, saying if anyone can make it, maybe.
To be honest, some of the Rumbles have been like that in the past few years, haven't they? They did that with NXT, as you say. They called up a lot of the girls there before, and that was good for them. Good opportunity. It was good for the fans to kind of see some of these people. But I do agree with you. I think the women's division has kind of been lackluster in probably last year, to be fair. But with that lovely introduction, let's start talking about the women's division in the form of the Women's Royal Rumble. Myself and Rob. Sorry, what was that?
I want this to be known that it's not that I'm against the Women's Rumble.
Yeah, it's
this
not
year,
exciting.
it just feels lackluster.
Yeah.
And I like to be honest here. I don't want to sugarcoat it and pretend that it's amazing, blah, blah. But I do think, okay, 10 women have been announced so far. Yeah. They've trickled a few more out yesterday, I think, on SmackDown. On WWE's, what even is the show? WWE's Extra something? It's not even a show. They're making up a show for it. Oh, on X. On X, yeah. But like, that kind of says it all. When they're announcing people on Twitter, that kind of says it all. But
so again, we got the 4 in the graphic here, which I think we're looking at some likely winners in this graphic alone. So myself and Rob have already predicted, so I'll kind of fill you guys in on that in case you haven't seen. I went with Bayley just because I think it's the most it's the only storyline that's already there, the Bayley damage control situation. And yes, that can happen without the Rumble and the title, but it's a hard one to pick because, like you say, there's not a lot going on at the moment. My second thought was a possible Jade Cargill entrance and victory, because it's kind of hard to join and not win. But we also argued, well, AJ did the same, but it was different for AJ and all this kind of stuff. And then there's this whole thing that Triple H keeps saying of like when she's ready. And so is she not ready, but suddenly ready to win the Rumble? Like that would be a big jump, but maybe Triple H was swerving her, so it's hard to tell. So interested to know your thoughts whether or not Jade's going to show up. But yeah, my thoughts on the winner is Bayley. Rob, you went for the same, right? You went for Bayley as well.
So my thought going in with Bayley would be, so I said this moment, I feel like Scott kind of fell in love with the idea. I hope it happens, but basically Bayley wins, points to the Mania sign, we get that generic point sign. And actually, I want the women to go on last. I think I know
a chance in hell.
No, and
it's not going to happen. But I would love the women to go on last. But my thought being Bayley points to the WrestleMania sign, and the rest of damage control basically jump her as she's pointing. They turn on her, and then the whole build up from her to WrestleMania now would be finding her smile again, getting her hug back, becoming the Bayley that we know and love, and then at Mania she comes out with the original song Bayley Buddies, and then she wins the title. Like I can see that being a really nice little story.
I think it is almost a perfect story. You know, you've got the classic Triple H Revolution storyline, and then you've got her, because that in itself, like I said earlier on, that in itself, a moment of that song hitting and the Bayley Buddies being back would be huge. So there's a lot you can do here, and I really like the idea of being attacked while you point at the sign, because that's something we've never seen. You know, it's shaking up that kind of what feels like a norm, and Triple H loves doing that. You know, he's the kind of guy that brings up that little copyright graphic, and then CM Punk's music hits. So and of course, he did that in NXT as well. Before I'm going to swing it around to you guys, I'm going to just get to a few of the comments right here. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a burp going on. Pepper Reese says, are you doing a watch along? Sadly, we're not, mate, but we should be doing one actually for Elimination Chamber. But appreciate you kind of spending your time with us tonight and kind of being hopeful of that. That's a nice little comment for you there.
However,
so thank you, buddy. Go ahead.
If Pepper Reese, if he wants to do a watch along, we have stuff that we've already done previously.
Classic
to do
stuff.
With So go back and watch one of them, and let us know.
Yeah, we've got some like classic pay-per-views we've done. We are going to try our best, especially if my internet holds up, because again, long story short, internet's not been great lately. To maybe do an instant that's Christian instant reaction tonight, guys. So hoping to be right here on this channel as soon as the Rumble ends. We're going to try our best to go live and kind of and talk about the big stories just for a little bit at least. So stick with us on this channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Going to get to a few more comments, but Sludgeball says, when I saw the women's graphic, I was like, to announce the women's fatal 4-way. Yeah, it does kind of look like that, don't it? Rico Maddox says, Nia Jax wins the Women's Rumble to call out Rio, in my opinion. I was saying earlier on, I wouldn't be surprised with Nia, because I think there will be a bit of backlash online, but I think it would be not as justified as before, because I think she's actually been positioned quite well and performed quite well since she's come back. NWA Music with Alex says Punk wins the men's and Bayley's wins the women's. That's exactly what I've gone for, buddy. So is that me commenting in disguise? But thank you for joining us, mate. And Sludge Sports, what women's Rumble last?
It's not
I
last.
don't think it's going to happen either.
It's not going to be last, but I think for the moment of what I was saying, it ended with
if the fireworks are going off, but then
bang,
it'll be a cool
they could just do that anyway. Like
exactly. It doesn't have to be the closing moment. Yeah. All right, cool. Lucas, who's winning the women's Rumble?
See, I'm kind of torn between three actually. Though my winner for now has remained unchanged. I believe anyone that's basically been shoved in it this week is not winning. I just think those are the people they've just gone. You work here, get in. But honestly, the graphic you pull up, I think it is one of those four people. I don't think it's Bianca Belair. I don't think they're going to do a double with the women just yet. Then saying that, Becky Lynch was close to being my kind of pick, but I'm going to dismiss her again because I think the only other story is Becky versus Rhea, but that just feels like one they can just do without it needing to be the Rumble setting it up.
Yeah.
Then I'm torn between Nia Jax and Bayley. And honestly, I flip-flopped even in this whole conversation. My issue I have with Bayley winning isn't so much Bayley winning, but it's kind of the story afterwards. And it all kind of depends like how much they want to commit to that story afterwards, because they were dealing with the first time, since 2018, really, when they had obviously both the men's and women's Rumble winners be Japanese, non-English speakers, is that they struggle to be able to promote that kind of match, because usually around Mania season, what comes back is those lengthy promo segments, the contract signings, all the kind of stuff that just requires talking. And again, this isn't coming from any kind of sort of prejudice or whatever, but it's just the fact that their language is not English. Their first language is not English. Those segments can't be done. So they're going to have to find a new way of doing this Mania story and build up with people who don't speak English. And so, not to say that they can't do that, and they might have found a good way. I do think recently what they did with Shinsuke has been decent. But I think it's just a one-off. Out of a 2-hour, 3-hour program, are you really willing to dedicate half of it basically to people reading? Essentially, I suppose that's what it would be dressed up. You dress up how you want, but we'll be just we're reading things now. So we just read Facebook instead, the readers, So, and I guess the only reason really for Bayley to win as well is because Becky's won, Charlotte's won. Sasha didn't win.
She needs it on her CV, just like Punk, in my opinion. I think Bayley needs it at some point.
And it just felt the only story there. But if Bayley, are damage control villains, right, aren't they?
Yeah.
But are they flirting with them turning on Bayley then?
Well, they've been doing.
They have been, yeah. She's been kind of left out and kind of been on the side a little bit, which is odd. But because I said the same sort of thing as you, really, about the kind of holding the storyline that. Bayley's could be a fantastic babyface, of course, we've seen that already. But EO being in the Triple H role is what I'm a bit unsure of. It feels like it's harder for her to hold that position. But it's made up by the fact that the rest of the gang can just beat her up and bully her, sort of thing, So it kind of works, but she's not positioned as the leader of the group, and I'm not sure if she would be either. So Bayley's the leader of the group, so you kind of need Bayley to be the one with the title and being chased in some ways because she's such a strong character. But that kind of they're clearly going this way. Bayley is clearly going to be turned on at some point anyway.
Yeah, but it's just a case of I don't think any of the other Damage Control members are in the Rumble, are they? They're not announced anyway at the moment. No.
I don't believe so.
Just checking the very short list of 10 women.
While you do that, go to a few comments. Rico Maddox says Rhea dwarfs everyone except Nia. She's the only logical threat. I think the Rhea Becky conversation we had earlier on was a good, an interesting one, talking about that Raw promo as well. So that's a possibility there. Paragon Smith says, who would be the best debut in a Women's Rumble if you could pick anyone from anywhere? Brilliant question, mate. We're going to get back to that in just a moment. We'll kind of find out our picks of winners. And yeah, we're going to talk of surprises very soon. But yeah, stick with us, mate. Alone Rider says hi and hey. Variation.
Hey.
Thank you very much for joining us, mate. And this is a word I always struggle to say. That's beer in Spanish, right? I'm learning Spanish at the moment. 96 days on Duolingo. Alexa Bliss to win. Wow, Alexa. All right, I'm learning it on an app. Wyatt tribute. That's a lovely little touch. There's a possible return link to Bray Wyatt, of course, that we can talk about with Bo Dallas later on as well. Rico Alex says, I think Sasha Banks returns. Bloody, that's what. Yeah, of course, Sasha Banks is a big possibility as well. To ruin it for Bayley, could you imagine that? If she's the new leader of Damage Control or something. Oh,
that'd be good.
That'll make sense for New Japan, Sasha, wouldn't it, I guess?
Oh, gosh, that's so good. All right, we're getting sidetracked. Lucas, who's winning the Women's Rumble? They're going to swing it round to Andy.
Wait, so who did Dan say?
Dan said, oh, you know what? Let's play Dan's video. That'll help.
It's Dan here with my predictions for the Royal Rumble 2024. Now, first of all, let's get into the Women's Royal Rumble match. Now, for this match, I feel that the winner of the match, it's quite tough, actually. I think it's out of two. So I think this is between Becky Lynch and Bayley. Now, judging by her face on SmackDown when she picked her number, I think that it may be a little bit of a struggle for Bayley to win because it seems as though she's got an early-ish number.
Okay.
But I think that the whole thing with Damage Control, I think, is going to help her and play into her hands. So therefore, my pick to win the Women's Royal Rumble 2024 and to go on to headline WrestleMania will be Bayley. Now, who's going to last longest in the match? Well, for me, I think the person that lasts the longest is going to be a debuting Jade Cargill. Now, yeah, there's obviously Jade's not been officially announced for the match, but I think they need to give her a very good showing if she is indeed going to be debuting in this match. So I feel as though that is going to be the longest person in the match. Now, Jade is also one of the front runners for me for the most eliminations, but I'm going to give that to the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. So yeah, for me, Bianca Belair, most eliminations, and the longest in the match will be Jade Cargill. As for the first woman to be eliminated from the match, well, that one's a little bit tougher because obviously, at time of recording, there's only 6 women that have been announced for the match. So, for me, I feel as though it could well be just someone like a Natalya or a Tegan Nox or someone like that. So, I'm going to go Tegan Nox. So, for me, Tegan Nox is going to be the first woman eliminated from the Women's Royal Rumble match.
All right, so good to get Dan Sports there. Thanks to him for sending in his video as well. We will get to our kind of first eliminations, most eliminated, and all that kind of stuff later on in the stream. But let's stick with winner for now. Rob, Lucas even, has that swayed you in any way?
Yeah, it's Swade. Actually, Swade might help me choose some picks for the other bonus questions, actually. But the winner is I'm torn between the two, Bayley or Nia Jax. I guess there is more story with Bayley. She's probably a safer hand. It gives her that tick box. Yeah, I will go. I'll stick with you, guy. The Sasha thing, like a comment just got me though as well. But if she doesn't return, it's hard because the ones that aren't announced, it's like if you say them, then you feel a bit like an idiot, and then like they don't return or whatever, or don't appear.
You can feel like a wasted pick. Yeah.
But it's like Sasha Banks, she could return. Obviously, I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to spoil things, people, but there was some stuff put out there, that looks like she is returning.
Yeah, we'll mention it. There was these screenshots of WWE Shop that looked like they were selling Sasha Banks merch. So
it's legit, though, isn't it?
Is it legit, boss? Eh? The shirt looked rubbish for a start, right? It looked like it was a Photoshop job gone wrong. The graphic was the boss's back, but I thought, or maybe like the listing is legit, but I thought, is that just an old shirt and the graphic, the screen?
the
shot
blue
was
one,
fake,
right?
But
Is that the blue shirt?
yeah.
All right, so I see the
Yeah,
blue
with the
shirt. I don't
circle.
think that's legit. However, if you go onto the Euro shot for WWE,
It's just like funny
Yeah.
using the word legit when that's literally
Yeah.
but like if you go into the Euro shop at WWE,
Yeah.
then there's the Boss and what they call Sasha Banks and Naomi, whatever their team was called.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Naomi could come back.
Their
I
shirt
think
is on
Naomi
there.
definitely go back.
Like
Yeah.
20, it's like 25 quid or something, like 30 quid still.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, I see that floating around on Twitter, so I checked it, and that's legit. But other than that, you know, I feel like if Sasha comes back,
it feels like they're really
It's
like
awkward.
out their picks though at this moment. Like I think when obviously like when Ronda was going to return and she won the Rumble back in 2022, there was like lots of rumblings about it. It kind of got mentioned quite a lot, and then she returned and then she won. But this isn't probably as much behind it other than those little things.
Yeah.
It's not been picked
Come
up
on,
by
Lucas,
anything,
you
but
gotta
then
commit.
I'm gonna be boring and say Bailey then. Yeah,
Bailey. All right. I'm locking it in for Bailey. We're going to get round to Andy in a moment, but first we'll introduce our next guest as well. We're going to do another countdown, guys. It is Rumble season after all. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey!
Entering the room like a big wet fart, equivalent to maybe Damien Sandow returning. Dom from Gimme a Hull, yeah. How you doing, guys? You all right?
Mate, so good. You look comfy. I'll put it that way.
Mate, it's lovely. If I put this up, it's just
you're making me feel warmer.
Yeah, this is my my post podcast world when I don't want to stay up till 4 a.m. doing podcasts. I get in like a comfy onesie. I'm not actually wearing anything underneath this, so like.
All right. Well, this stream just took a turn I didn't expect.
It's real. This is real soft. Obviously, it's on my nips here. It's on my balls there. my head here. So comfy, guys. So comfy.
Hey, we're talking surprise entrance. I don't want to see one from you. Right.
That's another conversation for me and you down the line in a hotel somewhere in some city, somewhere in the future.
Yeah, next time there's a press event in the UK, I might not show up. Right. Let's move over to Andy now. Let's get his thoughts. We'll come back to you in a moment, Dom, if that's all right. But Andy's been waiting in the wings himself for Rumble talk here on the women's. Of course, Andy and Dom, friends from the wrestling media, as I just alluded to, but are not part of our predictions. These guys here, there's not much on the line for what they say here, except for kind of exciting us. So, Andy.
Well, there's always pride to play for, and I do have to. By the way, I'm going to call out my. I'm not next to Dom. It might look like we're in one. Really not. And also, you should be honoured that Dom is here because he didn't even join his own channel's stream yesterday when we had everyone else on. He will join the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling stream. So feel honoured by that, guys.
I am. Anytime Dom's here is an honour anyway, but that makes it even nicer.
It's partly due to I just wanted to catch up with you guys, one, and B, I was at like a spa having the best time. Like
you are living life.
With that robe on.
He's still there.
It's wonderful. Yeah. I think I did do. This was in the height of my addiction to wrestling podcasting. I think I did do a stream live from Rudding Park in Harrogate once, and then that's when I realised I was having a problem when I had my feet in the foot spa and my laptop. My laptop on. And I'm doing a podcast. So yeah.
Mate, to be fair, I did a build-up show from the beach once, and then I did another one from under the Brooklyn Bridge. So, are you saying I've got a problem as well? Because I thought that was. Cool.
I'm not saying anything, man. I'm not saying anything. That's up to you. It's all good.
All right, let's get to someone who's a little bit more sane when it comes to their podcasting locations, even if it does look like it's right next to Dom. Andy. Rumble thoughts.
So the women's Rumble, I will have to be a bit boring straight off the bat. I think Bailey's going to get this one. I think there's a few reasons that you've already covered off, but away from the kind of the drama that it would create amongst Damage Control, The other thing I'll point out, and this is probably lifting the curtain a little bit, I don't know if anyone else has seen through the media pack that WWE's press has sent out. They send us these like lovely images, and I was putting together a presentation yesterday for the stream, and there's a lot who don't have a nice picture, put it that way. The only women's ones that actually sent out were Becky Lynch and Bianca. No one else had a nice individual shot, which was quite surprising. I thought Bayley might have had one. So there's like how much stock they're putting into the other women that are going to be participating. But I think that might be by design, on the basis that I think what they'll be using the Women's Rumble for this year is to build the other stories away from the title. In particular, one I think you should be watching out for is Jade Cargill's debut. I feel at some point we'll get a showdown with Bianca Belair to set them on a course of a WrestleMania match, because I don't think this year is the year that you want to push Bianca into a title feud, because I think fans are a little bit bored of it. Her character's a bit stale. However, a match against Jade would be a fantastic one that was spoken about straight out the gate when they signed her. So I think that's something that we'll see some sort of like showdown. There's a couple of other names of people from potentially outside of WWE that might be entering in the Women's Rumble. One name in particular, which I think you'll be covering this later on in terms of surprise entrance, TNA fans should be very excited for. Hopefully we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think outside of that, Becky Lynch is a shout. But for me personally, I don't think Becky needs the Royal Rumble win to set up a match against Rhea. I think that story can kind of be Becky Lynch is the underdog, or she's more of the sort of like older dog in the yard who wants to prove that she can still hang with what is perceived as the best in Rhea. Rhea's on board for that. In the way to WrestleMania, she can kind of have to vanquish Nia Jax, because Nia Jax beat her, so she's got a very legitimate claim that she should be going to WrestleMania over Becky. So it kind of writes itself that you've got that road to WrestleMania. So I think Becky doesn't need it. Whereas for me, it'd be nice for Bayley, because she's probably the one out of the four horsewomen who hasn't had her time in the sun as much as the others. And I think it's about time that Bayley was respected, because she's hung around the most. She hasn't taken masses of time off unless it's for injury. She's very consistent. She's done some great work when she's moved from being the hugger character into the Karen character into what she is in now. And the way that they've kind of drip fed in, these bits and pieces of Damage Control, like even last night when they won the titles, I don't know if anyone noticed, in particular, Io would shrug her off and would kind of push her out of the way a little bit and across to the side rather than in the middle. And it was nice little nuanced things there where you're setting the table, sowing the seeds, that there's a little bit of discourse. And I think for me, I want to see how that plays out. Like, how did they do the turn? Like, do they make a kind of delay her decision of which title she'd go for? And then eventually they turn on her to try to get in before any chance for Bayley to pick her, sort of thing. So I think it makes it a little bit less messy as well. So for me personally, I think Bayley for those reasons.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. As I said earlier on, there's a ready-made storyline for it, and as Lucas alluded to earlier as well, there's not a lot going on in the women's division, so it does kind of feel the most likely. And I think the only other one that makes me think it could happen is the Becky Lynch one, because of that promo with Rhea, and possibly Jade Cargill. But I do like that idea that you kind of floated there of Jade versus Bianca anyway, because that's my big thing of if Jade debuts and doesn't win. We compared it earlier on to, AJ Styles got away with it. She is a different kind of name. She is still growing, So she's an outsider like AJ was, but she's not at the level AJ was at this very moment in time. So I was like, well, can she not win? Would it look bad? But if she is like the, Iron Woman, as Dan put earlier on, but then Bianca throws her out, like that's enough to distract you from going, but she didn't win. Like there's still something in there to be excited about.
I think I was going to mention that because I think the Rumble is the perfect time to introduce Jade, because there's not much wrestling that you have to do. It's more of a case of like presence. And in this, it's the perfect one you can hide her away in parts of the match if you need to, or you can make her look very strong by eliminating some of the sort of like lesser characters, but rack up the numbers that she's doing. But I don't see any benefit in having her in there for too long. I think if you want to get her in a couple of eliminations, and maybe her and Bianca can do like a joint elimination where they both go over together, and that kind of sparks it off. I don't think it would make her look weak. I think there's ways to build her up, and then maybe have like a heel sneakily eliminate them both or something like that. But I wouldn't have her front and center for too long, because I don't think you want to do that as the very first time you ever see them. Especially if they're still a little bit worried about her prowess. But the Rumble's a perfect stage for it's just how they want to set that table. But I know Dom knows a little bit more about Jade, because he used to watch a bit of AEW when she was in there, so he might be better placed to talk about it.
Go ahead, Dom.
Well, that was thank you, Andy, for that wonderful introduction. I do love listening to your voice. This is why we have Andy Spores on WrestleSphere and Give Me a Hull Yeah, because he's got the knowledge that I have been missing from the WWE product for a while now. Pretty much everything Andy said. Not to be boring, guys. I do apologize, but I couldn't have booked it better than you guys there. Bayley to win. It makes sense from a damage control perspective. That feud that I've been kind of tentatively watching a little bit, which I think is really, really good. One of the best things on the product at the moment is the damage control kind of dynamic. I think the most interesting things to come from the Rumble will be little confrontations that Jade Cargill has specifically. Obviously, Jade is a premier athlete. People, I don't know what the other guys would say on this. People can say different things about Jade's in-ring ability in terms of, can she put on an Iron Woman performance, for example? Not so sure, but she had some squash matches, some really convincing squash matches a lot of the time in AEW, and I think we'll see, big matchups today. We're going to see tonight. We're going to see Becky Lynch face off with Jade. We're going to see again Jade and Bianca. I think is WrestleMania money. So for me, in short, exactly as you guys have said, really, Bayley makes the most sense for me. I'm not going to be here, for ages. So I think the only surprises that I could think of, would be someone like, Alexa Bliss coming in, and people want to, people can talk about, the potential of Alexa Bliss coming back and, doing a really good showing and stuff, which is fantastic. But I think really the big conversation coming out of the Women's Rumble will be Bayley, and will be the internal turmoil of damage control. And I think that will, and obviously Jade Cargill and who Jade Cargill will feud with into Mania. And quite rightly, actually, just recalling what you guys both said there, Becky Lynch, it has really, really done some great work over the last few weeks and months. And that Becky Rhea match, again, if you're looking to sell some Mania tickets, that will do very, very well. So I think all of those points that you guys made, track with me. I wouldn't want to say Jade Cargill to win, because I don't think that's fair at this time. Because again, Bayley and Damage Control are doing some fantastic work, and I want to see more about how that kind of irons out. But yeah, also very interested to see what happens with Jade Cargill.
Seems like we're all pretty much on the same page as far as the winner. And Jade Cargill's kind of potential introduction here, and I think I agree with Andy as well. Like, it is the place to do it. Like, a Royal Rumble is like, we've been waiting for a debut at some, like, when else would it be? So
I think as well, people forget that the Rumble's like a long match that's broken up in different segments as well, like of said match. And so, for example, I recently rewatched the 2021 Rumble from the men's side of things, and obviously everyone goes on about Christian and Edge being part of that Rumble, of having their kind of bit together, but it's only like 15 minutes of that entire Rumble match. Like, the other 45 minutes are very much focused on like all these other different things that go on. And I think all Jade needs to be able to come in and do is eliminate people. I think at least a couple of people. She needs to get a couple of people kind of eliminated. Have a face-off with someone who they then want her to face, maybe at the Chamber, if not at WrestleMania, and then to get eliminated by a person that they want to, again, make look like a big deal. Because obviously, essentially, the person who eliminates Jade Cargill from the Royal Rumble is someone who either she needs to be facing very soon, or someone who's coming from maybe underneath themselves to kind of have that stepping point. So it could be where they even throw a lifeline to someone on the NXT brand, perhaps, where they say, you're going to eliminate Jade Cargill, and that'll be like you're in to the main roster. And there's a lot of women on NXT. Like I don't know if you guys saw the Battle Royal the other week, and honestly, there's loads of them. They had like a 20-woman Battle Royal, just busted out. But yeah, there's 20 women there. Like, you know, and I didn't at one point. I didn't think there was more than about 10, but there's quite a lot. And so, you know, there's a lot of people that could kind of get that rub from eliminating Jade Cargill. But I'm absolutely along with you, Andy. Like, she does not need to be the Iron Woman in this match and been there for a long time. End of the day, her goal needs to be to make her debut, obviously, and to then set up that Mania program with someone, and that someone should really be Bianca Belair. Just go straight in with that big match, because there's all these times where they don't do it, and then we're 6 months out, and you know, touch all the wood you can imagine, but someone's injured or someone's left the company or contract is expiring and all this kind of stuff, and it just never happens. But I'd say this year, you know, Triple H, just do it. Just do it. If that's the main thing you've got, just do it. And I'm right. Again, I agree with you, Andy. Like, she's not, like some people are saying, like, you know, she's not ready. She might need more training. But this is where they could keep her appearances limited, and then maybe then build up her first pay-per-view. They could even do a Fandango with her, I guess. Have her first match be at WrestleMania, you know, and then obviously she beats Bianca Belair. That could be a way to do it. You know, because again, people are going about recycling from the past, but it's like, what do you expect to do? There's 40 years of WrestleMania. Pretty much everything has been done, like, at this point. So, you know, that was a decent thing they did about, was it May 29 Fandango? Yeah, when he beat Jericho, didn't he? You know, debut match. That could be a way to go. Like, technically, I guess it would be her debut singles match, I guess, because if you debut tonight. But I do worry that we don't see her tonight. I think there's definitely probably some questions they're going to start having, and we might not see it until after Mania if that's the case, or it could even be the
Raw after Mania. Good shout. There's always you know, a surprise or two on that. Well, not so much in recent years as much as there used to be, but that would be a nice one either way. And I think it'd be long overdue if she hasn't shown up. Well, if she don't show up tonight, it's starting to feel long overdue already. Let's move into the men's side of things, but not with a Rumble. Let's move on to the WWE title match. Of course, we've got a 4-way now. Now, a few of us have commented on this already, but it'd be interesting to get Dom and Andy's thoughts on this as well. But, of course, we're talking about Roman Reigns defending against Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles. Before we swing around again, I'm going to get to a few comments here. Sludge says, sorry, once again, Sludge, frustrated with the Nia Jax talk. I don't know what's going on with Nia Jax, that people are picking her to win a Royal Rumble. Of course, giving a whole representing over here with Dom, of course. Go check out his channel over there. And, of course, Andy Spores on Wrestling Royalty as well. You can also see down the bottom here. Oh, look.
Oh, my God.
Look at that. Down the
bottom,
we've got...
It's a one of one. It's a limited edition.
Mate. Did you do that in black? Did you do that in black?
I can do it in black.
I like it in white, though. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, but I'm a massive goth art. Right, take my money, Sporsy. I'll wire you some money tonight. I would like one. Send it to me. Let's go.
And down the bottom, you can see their Twitter handle. I'll say Twitter. X handles as well. Sajid wants to know what time the Rumble starts. Well, it is 10:50. I don't know where you are in the world, but 10:51 at the moment in the UK, and it's going to start 1 a.m. for us. So just over 2 hours and 9 minutes to go for the Royal Rumble. But stick with us, buddy. We'll be taking you all the way up to the show itself. There we go. Steve wants to know what time zone you're in. Very helpful of you, Steve. Very nice, buddy. Let's swing it around, though. Let's go straight back to Dom this time. I want to know who you think's going to win the not so much main event, I guess, but usually what would be the main event. It might still be the main event. Don't get me wrong. Could go on after the Rumble. But a little bit of context for you. Me and Rob have gone for Roman Reigns, which feels like something that's happened quite a lot over the last few years. Lucas, however, has gone for the potential for a Randy Orton victory, with the kind of thought of maybe Cody's story can kind of intertwine with that as well. So, Dom, what are you thinking, mate? Is it either of those? Is it LA Knight? Is it AJ Styles? Who's walking out with that title?
Well, I mean, this is a tasty match. I'm a big lover of Fatal 4-Ways, triple threats. They've even done some 5-ways over the years for the championship. I love stuff like that. Not a lot of other people do. I know it doesn't tickle everybody's pickle effectively, but for me, I love this type of match. I think these they couldn't have picked 3 better people to go up against Reigns in this, for this leading up to, Mania season and stuff like that. I believe that they're pitching another Randy Orton Roman Reigns feud, singles feud. So to lead up to that, I think that's fantastic. I think LA Knight is going on to Logan Paul at WrestleMania to have his WrestleMania moment for the US Championship. And I believe AJ Styles. Well, it's just great to see AJ Styles in, at this level in on this card. AJ Styles is one of the best people to ever do it, one of the best wrestling performers of all time, in my mind. So I don't know what AJ does next, unless he feuds with the OC, who he seems to have left behind now. But just to see AJ in this match will no doubt there'll be some great spots. No doubt. I think he looks better than he's ever done as well. So in my heart, I want AJ Styles, but that's about as likely as I am to grow 3 feet overnight, or walk into the Royal Rumble. But I think that I think Roman Reigns takes this, leading up to Cody is the one that will he will finish his story. Anthony from Gimme a Hull Yeah will argue against all of us. As he has ulterior plans and points of view, which are wrong. But Cody needs to finish the story, and that is how it will. That's how it will end. Roman takes this, and I think that I'd bet my left testicle on it. So Roman Reigns wins this. Yeah,
I'm in the same boat as you there. I don't quite want to put my precious pieces on the line, but I'd be close to it. Quickly going to get some comments before we sweep around to Andy. The deal's back again, and really interesting early order of matches. Cheers, lads. We'll get into that in just a moment, mate. And then, of course, Lucas in the chat moderating with us as well, saying great comments, and I agree. Keep it up, guys. The deal also says predictions: Logan Paul, Roman Reigns, Gunther wins the men's, and Bailey wins the women's. Kind of close to a mixture of what a few of us have been saying already there. I think we're pretty much all in agreement on. I think Logan Paul, Gunther's an interesting one. That's what Rob's gone for as well. Yeah. And Bailey, it seems to be a clean sweep at the moment for Bailey, so it would be a shock if it was someone else. But again, there are some strong possibilities beyond Bailey as well. Roman Reigns, though, what are we thinking about that, Andy?
Oh, can't hear you.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
What a rookie error. I'm that guy, apparently. It feels like the Roman Reigns win here is inevitable. Unfortunately, I just think if you were to put the belt on anyone else, it would diminish a WrestleMania main event. And that's not to take away from the legacy that Randy Orton and AJ Styles has, or getting LA Knight to that summit. I just don't know if any of them actually sell, not so much tickets because it's sold out, but in terms of the kind of buys and subscriptions and etc. I don't think anyone else does that other than a Roman Reigns versus someone match. So for that reason, it's very difficult to look out past that. With it being a fatal 4-way, it feels driven towards there's a no DQ in there, so they'll do their usual hijinks. I would be very surprised if we don't see a referee get knocked out at some point, and a false cover, or whatever you want to kind of call it. But it certainly seems like it's a done deal for Roman Reigns to win this one, which seems a shame. The only swerve I would say here is if it was to be some sort of setup for The Rock and to get the title away from Roman, it protects him somewhat, that he doesn't have to be, pinned or anything. But I don't see it because it feels like it would be a weird way to end a modern day record breaking title reign. And although we've said that the Royal Rumble is one, if not the favorite pay-per-view for most people, it still doesn't feel like a grand enough way to finish Roman Reigns. And it would, in a fatal 4-way, it would also feel odd because the way they built him up has to be with the end goal that whoever beats him is skyrocketed up. And the only way you can do that is if it's a clean win in a one-on-one match, in my opinion. So I'd find it weird for them to do it in a fatal 4-way. I feel like it would be a bit sort of, it's a sellout really if they do that, personally speaking. But I did also just see a bit of breaking news. I think it's official. Apparently The Weeknd has been announced as the theme for WrestleMania again this year.
What a surprise!
Yeah, so it's Gasoline is the track that they're going with. For,
Okay. To be fair, man, every year I'm like, do you know, this is a decent track, you know?
Yeah.
So
he didn't
yeah,
miss, to be fair.
He don't miss. He don't miss.
So wait,
Neither
can I
does
just ask,
Steve with this comment. Says Roman. Go ahead. Go on.
I was going to ask Andy and to Dom as well. Like, so are you then of the belief, both of you? I've asked the other two already. Are you then of the belief that we're not getting Roman the Rock this year? Then, if you're thinking Roman's winning here, because there's no real opportunity for him to lose this belt apart from tonight. I don't think they do.
My answer is very quick.
Rock and Roman for the title. Like,
yeah, my answer will be very quick. We will get it. It won't be at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dom?
That's what I'm kind of going with as well. Potentially a SummerSlam or the year later.
They're looking at they're trying to get him to Saudi Arabia, I believe. Trying to get him to Australia.
Ooh.
Yeah. So,
crown jewel. If that match happens a crown jewel, as much as I enjoy that show these days,
but
big.
How many of those matches have we had at Crown Jewel, and they've been, those types of big level matches? It is possible. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. I'm very much in agreement with you guys there. It will happen, but certainly not at. I don't think it's happening at WrestleMania. The big two matches for WrestleMania will be Punk and Rollins and Reigns and Cody.
That's exactly what I'm going with as well. So back to Steve's comment. Similar kind of chat, really. Roman can lose without being pinned, which keeps him strong and means that if the Rock v Roman happens at WrestleMania, it doesn't need the title on the line. It's a pass the torch moment, potentially. Now, that's kind of, again, what a few of us have been saying tonight as well. I agree. It doesn't need the title whatsoever, but I just think that means it's because Cody's going to win the title at WrestleMania, and we are going to get this match as a pass the torch moment, as you say, head of the table. It's all about that after it. My only concern is if it was a year after, that might be hard to kind of make Roman look strong as the head and a bad guy heel when he doesn't even have the title. So there's that factor. So I think more likely SummerSlam, but Crown Jewel's a potential as well. Paragon Smith alluding to the theme songs says it's no written in the stars or My Way. Two absolute bangers. You know what? This is a good time to plug Andy's channel, because we did a little stream there a few months ago, actually, where we did a tournament, a breakdown basically of WrestleMania theme songs. It was so much fun reminiscing and going back and talking about those as well. So yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to Andy's channel, Wrestling Royalty with Andrew Spores. Go check that out. There we go. There's the merch as well. Yeah, of course, My Way. I won't spoil it, but a lot of us had a soft spot for that one. The deal says, is there a chance Rhea Ripley enters the men's rumble? She's mentioning wanting to mix it up with the men. Could be an interesting way to get her on the card. It is strange that she's not on the card, but maybe not when she's a champ. But again, it's a way to shoehorn her in. And I do find it really weird that she don't have a match. I know Seth's technically injured and that, but it's weird there's not a world heavyweight title match. So yeah, bit of an odd one. Anyone want to kind of comment on the potential Rhea in the men's rumble?
I'm for it. I'm not against it. I mean, we've had Nia in there, Beth Phoenix. I think has Natalya been in the men's rumble?
So the thing is, I don't like it because now there's a women's rumble. It shouldn't happen, in my opinion. I liked it when it was China and it was only a men's rumble, but I don't like it anymore. You've got a women's rumble, stay in it. Like it's
I mean, that's fair enough.
It devalues the women's rumble if you're jumping in the men's one.
But my only thought would be she would only get in there to help Dom. So I think if Dom was in
she
there,
don't need to enter then. Yeah.
No, but anyway. I think her sliding under the bottom rope to get in, help Dom and get back out again.
But not an entrance.
That's how it, but she won't be in the rumble.
Yeah, that's cool.
The thing is, though, I think that if they wanted it, I mean, the problem is with this is they don't have any interest in doing a gender, and that's fine. I'm not saying they should do that, but it just makes no sense to then go, let's just flirt with it so much, because there is just that section of the fan base that apparently wants it. And it's a case of, you're not going to do you never basically promise something you can't deliver. That's the oldest thing in the book when it comes to promoting. It's a case of, if you're going to tease it, it's just to be enough for those people or the audience to go, oh, we're going to get like Rhea versus like Dom at WrestleMania. It's like, no, it's never going to happen. Like, it should never, like, the days where it happened, like, it worked with China and like, probably we're not really going to plug in much here, but someone like Jim Cornette, like he's explained why it worked with China like 20 years ago, and why it's very different nowadays. Like, and it just wouldn't happen in the WWE. Back then it was, and obviously there were rumors about China getting the WWE Championship at one point, but which is a very, very different business now that it just won't happen. I think, well, like with you, Scott, like you said, like I think now they've got the Women's Rumble, it doesn't need to happen. And as just people know, make people aware, I have rewatched every single Rumble match since 2000 over the past couple of weeks, and it is on. I've got like a list of things I just never want to see again in the Rumble, and that was on that list because they've just overdone it. And I think because they done it the year they did it with Nia Jax entering the Rumble, because that was like to show that it could happen once, you know, kind of thing to a new audience. And it kind of made sense. And like, to be fair to Nia, like she took an RKO and she, you know, they did that.
It was funny.
It's been done, so they ticked it off. But it's like little things, like, you know, like when they had Elsa win the briefcase, it was just like a tick box, like, oh, we've done that. Like, so that's now been done. A man has won the Women's Rumble match, the Women's Money in the Bank match. And I think, that was on the list, like along with a few other things. But it's like, we don't need to see it again. We saw it recently with Nia Jax. Anyone who wants Rhea Ripley to enter the Rumble match, just go back and watch the one that Nia Jax entered. That's as good as you're going to get, I think. And even her helping Dom and stuff, like, I'm just a bit like, come on, like, you know, they have to know that it's not going to happen. Like, the teaser stuff, it's not going to happen. I think just it's best out of the Rumble, because again, that is again on my list. Just especially in recent years, too many people who are not part of the Rumble match are entering the Rumble match to eliminate people, to do all sorts of things on the outside. Also, too much on the outside as well was another thing on the list. But there's a long list to get through. But those are my main things. I think
I give you a whole stream in itself.
You don't need to see like Rhea Ripley in the men's Rumble. I would be interested in seeing Rhea Ripley have a women's title match tonight, because it feels like those are so few and far between, especially on pay-per-view. But obviously 4-match card and that, you know, she's not going to get that feature, because that would help the Women's Rumble. I feel, as I said before, you guys came on the stream, Dom and Andy. I feel that would again help the Women's Rumble feel a bit less lackluster, because these are men we've got like that Roman match to kind of discuss and determine, like, oh well, this could happen, this could happen. But the women, we haven't really got anything for that size, so it's just a case of we've got 10 women, 5 of whom were announced yesterday, you know, to kind of go, oh, one of these might win. And like, you know, that's my take on that anyway. Real no, though.
Yeah, no, I think you make a lot of great points there. Now, one of my favorite things about doing these build-up shows, guys, is that it is so kind of all over the place, and we get last-minute rumors. You know, the time there was that storm at WrestleMania, we were doing a build-up show. It's all exciting when we can talk about breaking news, because anything can happen on a build-up show. We kind of, you know, take our professional kind of hats off and just have a little bit of fun with it. And again, things can crop up out of nowhere, including me needing to go to the toilet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead you into the next part and hop off for just a moment. But I'm going to swing it around to Dom and Andy first of all for this bit again, because again, myself and Rob spoke about this match earlier on, and I know Lucas has done a little bit already on our main prediction show just a few days ago. But I've got the ticker at the bottom. What match are you most looking forward to? I honestly think that Logan Paul, Kevin Owens could be a match that we talk about for quite some time. There's some really kind of interesting possibilities with this match. You know, Kevin usually likes to do these big old stunts. Logan's been very impressive lately, and I think it's the perfect match. Now, I think we've all pretty much come to the conclusion of Logan Paul's winning, and in my opinion, and I think Dom said the same thing earlier on, it's probably so that he can go into Mania against LA Knight, and I think that's the best case scenario here as well for WWE, for branding, and also for LA Knight to get that rocket strapped to him finally. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to hop out for just a moment, but let's swing it round first of all again to Dom. And I want to know, I want to know, but I won't be here. I'll watch it back later on, mate. What do you think is going to happen with?
Well, dude, I'll say by now. I will say by now, because I'm going to be hopping out soon as well once I answer this. But for me, the match that I'm most looking forward to, I mean, the men's Rumble, I understand, obviously, Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, absolutely. You know, that's going to be great. And I think the Fatal 4-Way will be spot-tastic as well. Again, AJ Styles in there, how can it not be? Obviously, I think that'll be fantastic for near falls, things like that. But a potential Iron Man performance in the Rumble from Jey Uso, a potential, the CM Punk, Cody Rhodes stuff. I mean, that Raw last week, that promo. I mean, I watch the highlights these days, and I had like shivers down, hairs on the back of my neck standing up. This is the kind of stuff we never thought we'd see, So I think of all the other stuff that could happen, the Rumble's obviously one of the most exciting. Obviously for surprises, things like that. It is one of the more exciting, PLEs that you can see through the year. Obviously, I'm hoping for maybe an Alexa Bliss appearance in the Rumble, like I said, in the Women's Rumble. Seeing Jade Cargill will be great. But again, for me personally, in terms of what I'm most looking forward to, the Cody CM Punk dynamic in the Rumble and some of the face-offs that will happen around that to lead to that. Cody against X, Y, and Z person, CM Punk against X, Y, and Z person. I don't mean to be disrespectful to the other participants, but that Cody can make anyone look good. And on a good day, CM Punk can do all right as well. So let's hope Punk has a good night tonight, good day in the Rumble, and we know Cody's going to show up as well. So for me personally, the Men's Rumble, he's a mouth-watering prospect for me. And guys, it is an absolute pleasure to join you as well. I really appreciate I really appreciate seeing all of you guys again, Andy. I will speak to you soon on the WrestleSphere side of things. And lads, give my best to everybody, and Scott and everyone, thank you so much for having me. And I'll see you guys soon. Last year you threw me out, so this threw me over the top rope. This year I'm
back in time to throw you out. No, you're getting thrown out, Dom.
Unbelievable. I was going to let him graciously go over.
No, we're throwing him out. Everyone get ready. Come
on. See you guys. Bye.
All right. Well, we couldn't have a Rumble stream without throwing someone out. Come on, guys. Great to hear from Dom. Great to have him back. Andy, mate, what are your thoughts on the US title?
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I'll have to admit that Paragon Smith is the other Andy of Wrestling Royalty. He was there back in the early days of Wrestling Royalty, so he's he is loosely attributed to and he's sat in the other side of the room from me because he's come to join us. That's how special the Royal Rumble is. He ventures out of his house to watch wrestling twice a year, once for Royal Rumble, and he's coming with me to Philly for WrestleMania as well. But nice. I think the Pete Dunne comments in relation to Dom's nice fleecy dressing gown. But yeah, sorry. I know you want me to talk about the US title match, but I think it's pretty much a given that it's going to be a Logan Paul win because they did that weird thing of announcing Logan for Australia, which I think kind of shot everything to pieces for anything else happening. But the ticker at the bottom is asking what match I'm looking forward to. I know you guys were discussing it as I was kind of waiting in the wings. Definitely the men's Royal Rumble. For me, everything I like to write about or to talk about is always about story. So I find it quite funny that that's the line that WWE is obsessed with at the moment is finish the story, or 2K24 is about complete your story, play your story, etc. And for me, the reason why I'm so excited is because I genuinely feel like this is a harken back to the better part of the Attitude Era, where you had genuine contenders all over the shop chasing that top spot. Like back in the Attitude Era, my favorite thing was 1 week you might have Stone Cold or The Rock, then the next week you'd have like The Undertaker or Kane or Chris Jericho or Kurt Angle or someone else, and they'd all be chasing the title, and it meant something. It wasn't just very linear to say one person's got it. I thought what they've done brilliantly this year is they've drip fed in possibilities of you might get to see this match, or you might get to see this match, or what about this one? And there's a question I'd love to ask you guys is we've seen almost like this weird triple threat promo going on where we've had Drew versus CM Punk, and we've had CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. We've had Cody Rhodes versus Drew. We had a banger on Monday just gone between CM Punk and Cody, but was that the best of all of them? Did you prefer one of the other ones? Because I actually thought the Drew versus CM Punk one was fantastic. I thought the Seth Rollins versus CM Punk one was fantastic. So we've seen all these different promos. Which one of those got you guys most excited heading on the road to WrestleMania?
So I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I think the way they've been portrayed and all the promos, the one with Seth, obviously the build up with that, and then the one with Drew, the one with Cody, I feel like they've all got something different about them. They're all unique in their own way, but they're all there for the same reason. Like it feels like it's not the same thing being repeated, but the story is different, but the reasoning behind it is kind of the same, like to a degree, with Punk walking out and how he treated certain people. For example, Drew and Seth, and with Cody, it was how he looked after him. So it seems like there's a comparison with Punk done one thing with one and something different with the others. So they were all treated unequally, but equal at the same time. So I don't think I can pick. I don't really think I can pick a favorite. I think if I had to, I think the one that cut the deepest, maybe. I don't know. I was going to say Cody, but I feel like the Drew one, there was something more in it. Like there was more. I think with the Cody one, there was more respect, and the one with Drew, it felt like there was more. It was meatier. There was a lot grittier. So I'll probably the Drew one for that reason, because it was a little bit more like, well, what's going to happen?
I think the Drew one's interesting because it feels like we could be on the cusp of Drew almost doing a Punk in a weird way. Like it feels a bit like, if he doesn't resign this contract, like he may just walk and that would be it. Like, and people saying, oh, AEW, like I think people are starting to see the grass is not always greener over that side. And, does he want to learn the hard way when Tony Khan just brings him over to hype him up for a week and then, forget about him 2 weeks later? Or does he go, let's be real, we've been a main eventer now for what, 4 years, 5 years, he could have a year off if he wanted to, and then come back to the company. Once obviously they're ready to, could. Who knows? This year, obviously, at the moment, most likely for the rest of the year, most likely not going to have a UK pay-per-view coming our way. But next year we might, and that could be where Drew goes, you know what? I ain't interested in this anymore. In this, being in the mid card and kind of, going around in a circle kind of thing, getting further and further away from being world champion. Let me do what the others have done and go to, step aside or go away, do something elsewhere, then come back when next year you've got the UK pay-per-view. You've gotten rid of this bloodline thing, and Cody's already won the belt now, so you haven't got to worry about finishing that story. Let's now continue. And I think the ones I did this week felt very, in my opinion, felt very different. So Gunther and Seth and Punk and Cody felt very different. And you could read into that perhaps obviously they've now more finalized stuff, obviously, since the first promos, and maybe the direction is going the way of those promos wanting to go. If you want to read into that. But then there was also a pay-per-view in the middle as well, where they got the Chamber, so they could be setting up things potentially for that. So we could get Gunther and Seth at the Chamber, for example, or we could be setting up people in the Chamber match, such as Gunther, Cody, and Punk in the Chamber match, which then makes it interesting with the Rumble, because obviously the Rumble victory might go to one, and the other one win the Chamber, to get the other title shot, or the other title even. That's the thing. They haven't been up with the Chambers are for the championships, or they're going to be for the number one contenderships. But yeah, I think this week's one for me, the winner is the Cody and Punk one, because I think to do that kind of promo and to stay, obviously it's a testament to them, but also a testament to the writing team that they're not, they stayed away from the low blows that they could have given the other channel. That AEW, let's be real, would have said no. We want all this stuff on the show. But I think to get that quality of promo from two guys just shows the caliber of both their promo skills. Personally, it's a very hard thing to do, and it definitely makes you think that's a match that will happen. But it's a case of it might not be for a while. But this week's one for me, I think that one edged out. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, man, I find it really hard to pick as well, because I think the Cody Punk one is probably at the moment at least, the headline one, because it got a lot of people talking, got people excited about tonight, which is, what these things are designed to do anyway. The Drew one was interesting because it felt like it was character development. Something's going on with Drew. Like we've been talking about for over 6 months now that he's turning heel, and he's pretty much a heel now, you know. So
Yeah.
something's going on with Drew. Something's got to happen. I mean, if he won tonight, it's not that terrible, really. So there is that as well. The Seth one felt like, well, that's obvious. Like, we're getting Seth and Punk at some point, right? That's got to happen. And that was the fiery one, you know, the footage of Seth shouting at Punk at the top of the ramp and all that. Like, we were waiting for that promo anyway.
I felt that kind of under-delivered. The Seth and Punk one. I felt that one.
Do you think? Is it?
Yeah, I think obviously
maybe it was just because it was exciting. Punk was back
for Mania, obviously. You know, so they don't want to give all the good stuff now. But I felt, you know, you get very few second or third chances nowadays of the audience, and it's very hard, like to do this. But I do think it kind of undelivered because of that, and I think that Punk actually did better against Cody and even against Drew later on. That's what I felt. I don't know, maybe because the uptake was so high, particularly after obviously Punk debuting and the reaction that Seth had. It felt like, all right, we're going to get But there was obviously some part of me that did feel they might have actually ended up doing Punk and Rollins at the Rumble itself. So I guess potentially they've had to obviously long it out if they are going to go down the WrestleMania route. And then obviously they've added in all this Seth being injured stuff as well, which I don't know. Is it legit? Is it a bit of work? Is it a bit of both?
It's hard to tell when that's his character at the moment. You know, his character is I'm beat up, but I'm gonna win. And it's kind of like, I mean, I said about 2 months ago, I think coming into the Survivor Series, that kind of era, is boring now. Like, I don't want, if it's legit, don't get me wrong. Sorry, mate. I hope you get better soon and all that good stuff. But at the same time, like, when it hasn't been legit and it's just been used as storyline, there's only so much we can do. Like Cody as well. Like, Cody don't need to overcome 1 million obstacles. He's overcome about 2 million already. So it's kind of getting annoying. But an interesting one you mentioned there was Gunther and his one with Seth as well. Like, that was really exciting, and of course, you know, that's led, it seems, Rob to believe that Gunther is going to be winning this Rumble. I'm just not sure, and I love him. I think he's fantastic. I just fear for what it could mean for the IC belt if he kind of drops it, you know, as a kind of, I don't need this anymore. Like, I hated what Samoa Joe did with that Ring of Honor title recently, so that he could go after the AEW title. I hate that.
Let him have the. I told you, I think like the best way for me would be have it in a triple threat match with Gunther. With the IC.
Yeah, if he don't get pinned.
Let him chop it that way where he doesn't get
pinned. It's obvious though, isn't it? Because you said, like, he could lose it anyway. It's obvious.
Yeah, but then if it's obvious, if Cody wins the Rumble, then is it obvious that he's winning against Roman? Like,
that's why I think Cody shouldn't win the Rumble. He should win the Elimination Chamber.
Is it obvious that he's going to be a go against Seth? Like, all
of
it's obvious.
All right. Let's get to some more comments here. We've got Hugh O'Reilly says Cody Rhodes wins at the Royal Rumble. Liv Morgan fighting chance to win. It would be interesting. Yeah, Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss are people we haven't really spoken about in previous years. It would have been like, you know, top of the list of who could potentially win it. Liv hasn't been around for a while, and of course neither is Alexa as well. So it'd be interesting to see if they do turn up tonight. Steve says after Seth called Punk a cat. So how well would they work with each other? Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because I saw that interview with Seth a little while ago. As soon as Punk come back, I can't remember what podcast it was on, and he was basically saying, "Look, I'll do business if I need to do business." I do think that some of it he was talking it up because remember, a lot of the stuff the last time was bad, but I think when he came back for backstage, that was when Seth was. Because I remember, and I completely agree with him. This is when I said that whole thing of Seth Rollins isn't cool anymore. It was around the same sort of time. And Punk said, put your phone down, stop going on Twitter. That was around when Seth kept having these weird beefs with like Will Ospreay and stuff like that. And it was uncomfortable to kind of keep seeing. But anyway, so I think part of that was fake because he wanted to get Punk back in the ring. But I think what Punk said on TV and what he said about each other ended up being a bit touchy and real, which is where I think the cancer comment came from afterwards. Bob Stakor says, which 90s or noughties legends of wrestling in the Royal Rumble would you like to see? Another great question. We're going to get back to surprise entrances in a moment because we've got another one earlier on about the exciting women entrance as well. So we'll get to that very soon. And Paragon Smith again with us says CM Punk winning the Rumble, then go against Seth.
No,
Rock versus Reigns.
What?
Don't say him up again. Don't say him up. Shut up, Rob. I'm going to mute you if you carry on.
I want to ask one
serious. Don't mention the war.
I want to ask you.
Don't mention the Rock.
Now,
look. I got Rock's book there, right?
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Listen, you jabroni. Listen, if let's say we get let's say Roman and Rock happens, right?
Yeah.
At the greatest respect to the Rock, Roman has to beat him because it makes if it's a due to the passing of the torch. Roman has
I think
to
we all
win.
agree with that. So what's the problem?
Yeah. Right. This is my problem. If we know that's going to happen, we don't need to see it right now. It's not the time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Something else. I believe it's not the time. And my other thing, if Punk wins, and then let's say, for example, he beats Seth, is Punk going to be there every week? Because if he's not, we're getting the exact same thing that we're getting with Punk as a champion that we're already getting with Logan Paul and Roman Reigns. If you want a champion there every week, give it to someone that's in the company every week. Stop.
But by then,
the minute you take it out, people moaned, "Oh, the title's not there." We'll stop giving it to people that are.
I think Punk would be there more, and even if he's not as much, right? He'll win it at WrestleMania while Cody wins it and keeps on TV on the other side. So it will kind of do a bit of a switcheroo if there's any kind of lean back from Punk, which I don't think there would be anyway.
All right, and then my final thought on the whole thing with Roman is with him being this far in now to like his reign is close to Hogan's and is close to Backlund's, right? If he beats Backlund's 4 days later, he beats Hogan's. If they're at that point where it might be near September, but if we're at that point, what's the point in keeping him at number 4? Because the only other time you're going to get to do this is when we have a mega heel again. And if Roman's already that person that's hated and people don't want him to be the champion, keep it on him.
See, Rob,
because then when he loses it, he's gone.
Look at our latest comment,
he's
Rob.
fishing. Look, last year, I think
really
that they had the thing where obviously the 1,000 Days as champion sat about 6 weeks out from WrestleMania. I might be wrong with those times, but it's about 6 weeks out, wasn't it? Because it was about around Night of Champions, which was the end of May. And I think that made logical sense, right? And then you went into him then essentially, I think once that, in my opinion, once that decision was made, then once they made the decision to not have him lose at SummerSlam, it was on the case of he's going to lose the belt most likely at WrestleMania. And they've now essentially maybe made a situation for themselves where they could make him drop the belt before WrestleMania, which is tonight, which you've already discussed. But I just think you're just stretching for it again, going, oh, they got this Hogan record in September. Because then off them, do you say, like, oh, let's just go to Bruno Sammartino's record? You know what?
No,
it's true.
At some stage, you got him
last year.
Yeah, but I think
so close, and because they've always decided they want to do something, you know, with this Cody version of the story. But this year, for me, it just makes no sense for them to do anything but Roman losing the belt tonight or at WrestleMania.
I just can't see it.
Honestly, WrestleMania, if Cody loses, we riot. It's getting like that for me because if you wasted Sami Zayn's kind of random resurgence and whatever, and then you wasted last year's opportunity with Cody, and it was all for tonight or all for The Rock next year. Like, nah, like that ain't it for me. Like Cody has to win it for me. He has to.
But then I just think if Cody wins it. This is such a frustrating. They put themselves.
It still could have been done last year.
But they really have, because if Cody beats Roman, right, and then we're going in of Cody's now the champion, the double champ, or whatever you're gonna put it down as, a single champ or whatever, right? Yeah. Cody's now the champ. Let's say Punk beats Seth, Punk's a champ. Fine, that happens. Now Roman's been beaten, so if he goes against The Rock, it's like, oh well, The Rock could win. The passing of the torch technically.
But I don't think The Rock could always win, though.
Yeah, because The Rock is The Rock. Like,
because The Rock's The Rock. Like, there's some superstars, some
it's not like, Rock might be able to do it now because he's beatable. It's like he's one of the greatest of all time. Of course he could beat Roman Reigns, which you won't, hopefully. But surely that thing is always there of like, it's not like, do you reckon this guy could beat Roman? Like, he's one of the greatest of all time. Of course he could beat Roman, is the way they're going to portray it.
And I get it. I just think the idea of if Roman's the champion, it's just a case of if Roman's the champion and he's going against The Rock, then if Roman drops the titles to Rock, then Rock does win.
No,
then
but
it's like
I don't think anyone here. I don't want to speak for Andy, but I'm assuming no one here wants The Rock to beat Roman for the belts. I don't think anyone out there wants that to happen.
some
I don't
do.
even think many people want the
And I
match to
just
happen for the belts either. I think they know that it's a
No,
separate attraction.
which is why I think it needs to happen. I think if it happens, it needs to happen with Roman having a title, because then the reason being, it's when, let's say Cody does do it, it gets to next year, right? And I know it's a long time, but let's say it gets to next year or after or whatever it is, but Roman would have beat the great one.
Oh
So
my
the
God.
one would beat. Do you know what I mean? Roman would the one that
by
beat
that-
the great one.
But
And it's
by
that
that
build
point,
there.
my network subscription's in the bin. Like I've lost hope. Like
I just-
I'm no longer like wrestling. I'll be liking fishing. I think by that point, like I think
No, I just think that if you're that close to the like to breaking 2 other records and making Roman number 2 in a modern day, I think it needs to happen. He's number 4, and like he's like over
do you think
100
that really
days out.
matters to anyone though? Like,
I
because
mean, if it didn't, then
Bruno
why is he
Sammartino
already
is
over
always
me for
gonna
over
be the
1,000 days?
longest champion ever. You know, I mean, I know they got the Moolah thing where she obviously owned the, they have
Yeah,
stories
yeah.
that, she didn't lose the belt to anyone because it wasn't owned by them, blah, blah. But anyway, like Bruno Sammartino will remain until I think probably the day we all die, the longest reigning wrestling champion world champion has ever been. And I think, who's number 2 and 3 and 4, like, I don't think it matters as much now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, deadly honest. Like, I think you're very frustrated at the point of the fact of a Rock and Roman match happening. And while I kind of get that, and I'd like
But it
to hear
doesn't need
Andy's
to
thoughts
happen
about
now.
that match, I just think it's not as tied into the other stuff as you think it is. I think we can still get our feel-good moment of Cody winning a championship. We can still get Punk and Rollins. We can still get all this other stuff alongside a world and a universe that exists where The Rock and Roman Reigns have had a singles match or have a singles match on the same show.
Yeah.
And I don't see it as a bad thing personally. I don't know. I don't know when people want it to be. Again, I don't know when people want this to happen. Like some people are saying SummerSlam. Some people are saying next year WrestleMania. But again, even with that, I think a lot of these things are just like, these are things which I think like time is just not on their side with it, because The Rock is already 51 or 52 years old, hasn't wrestled in so long. Like, to have it go much longer, I feel would be a bit silly. But I don't know, Andy, what are your thoughts on this this thing that Rob's created, I guess, with The Rock?
I mean, it's quite funny sitting in the room of the guy who is fishing and trying to get the reaction. And there is a story, like he's a massive Rock fan, and obviously being in Philly, I think the hope is that he would see him, and that is probably what a lot of people are thinking. It's WrestleMania 40. It's a big event. It's one of the biggest you'll see in a long time. It feels like the right stage. I'd argue that actually LA would have been a better stage because it has that tie-in with The Rock, and felt like that was probably a bit more apropos for The Rock to appear. I don't know, like I do want to see it, but I fear it's at least 1 year, if not 2 years too late, because the relevancy side of things, because there are some points that I think there are legitimate gripes, because it's not realistic The Rock's going to win. And you'd have to do mental gymnastics to think he's going to be around as a full-time champion. You would effectively lose your belt even more than you already are with Roman, which is already annoying people. So you've got that side of things there. I think you then look at it from the sense of, I don't personally believe the title needs to be involved, but then it gets messy as to how do you move that around, because then does Roman diminish a little bit? You've used the phrase passing of the torch. Well, the torch is well and truly passed at this stage, because if Roman isn't his own guy at this point, then there's something seriously wrong.
Exactly.
And the last point on that, I will say, it's quite funny that in the backgrounds of 2 of you, one has The Rock and one has Roman Reigns in the background of your.
I was a Charlie Attitude Era, and The Rock was my guy, but I also love Roman Reigns. And again, it's not about Rock winning it. It's about Roman Reigns for me, but I just think it is too late. Not too late, sorry. It is later than it should have been. I agree with you, and You know, it should have happened maybe
I
1,
just
2,
don't-
3, maybe 4 years ago. Well, no. But still, it doesn't mean it shouldn't happen. You know, I think it should, and it still be a massive kind of program and a massive moment as well. So.
Would be interesting, by the way, because was it Philadelphia where Roman got booed out the building and The Rock held his hand up?
Yes, the
yeah.
Rumble, yeah.
So it does feel
Was
like
it also
Oh.
was Philadelphia where The Rock faced Austin for the first time as well? 15. Is that Philly as well? I'm not sure, but anyway, but yeah, it would be kind of a full circle, even with the Roman stuff at least. But yeah, like you say, LA was LA felt like the place for it as well. But
yeah, last
anyway,
year
let's
felt for it.
go on, mate.
But last year felt like the place for it, but
Yeah.
then they said that I think it is this story getting the belt of Roman. I guess potentially what they're struggling at, the stumbling block is because they're thinking they need to be able to set Roman up again to do another match with The Rock, but off the back of a loss potentially. But this is why I think they created this scenario of the 4-way. Like I think they've never done this in Roman's reign as champion. Like it's always been singles matches. Do you know what I mean? Like he's never really had jeopardy.
He's had 3 triple
two triple threats, something like that. But when you compare it to like other champions, other championships, like they used to bust those like matches out on like Raw. They'd be like, "Yeah, you're Intercontinental champion. You're facing like 4 people now. Like, okay, good luck."
Mm-hmm.
But Roman has been so protected from this, you know, like so protected from multi-person matches, and it's just surely it's a stumbling block which could ultimately untie that. But yeah, sorry, we can just talk about this all night, I guess.
Yeah, I've just got one genuine.
Cool, you have. Go on.
No, like we were all frustrated and annoyed with this whole bloodline stuff just going on for too long, right?
Mm.
And it finally it's run its course. Now, if Roman didn't have Solo and he was on his own, it was him and Heyman, how it was, and there's no Jay. Jim and Jay were doing whatever, and it was just Roman, I think the build would be slightly different. But because I feel like all this bloodline stuff's happened with Owens, with Seth was around, Cody's been around, like there's been so much bloodline stuff, Sammy, KO, and all that stuff. I feel like the minute we get Roman again, it feels like I know it's bloodline, kind of, but it feels like it's about the bloodline again. It's about this family and the family going back to war. And we've already kind of seen it. So let's say, for example, Roman drops the title tonight. Are you really that invested in another bloodline feud? And
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
my only.
Well, I think
Bloodline
with The
needs
Rock,
to be back
yes.
together, right? Because it kind of like, what are you head of what table? There's no one here. You know, like they kind of need
That's
to
what I'm
be one
saying.
unit again.
There's so much that still needs to happen. I think Ava's there's something to do with it. Bringing Jimmy and Jay back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it will happen, but Rikishi's a part of that. Like there's so much that I think needs to be done. Like work needs to be put back together.
I don't think I couldn't disagree more. Actually, Rob.
You can't be
think
the head of the
all you
table
need
when
is-
you have no one at your table. You're sitting on your own.
I disagree. I think all that needs to happen is you need Cena to beat Solo Sikoa to get his win back. You need Jimmy and Jay to have their match at WrestleMania and then go back to teaming or whatever they want to do. Either they're singles and then they reform in a year or so and win the tag belts. And then you need Rock to face Roman. Those 3 things are all you need. Like I think everyone else has kind of already had their thing. Sammy and KO already beat Usos at WrestleMania to end their involvement with the group. The Usos, like I said, those 3 things are all we kind of need. And you could argue really the one thing keeping the bloodline story going is the dang other carrot of The Rock. Being part of wrestling in ring in the future, a match against Roman Reigns. And like we said way back a long time ago in this chat now, something which you just never should do from a promotional standpoint is to promise something that you cannot deliver. Yeah. And WWE have made this big promise where they've put The Rock out in front of a crowd. They've had him in front of a crowd. They've had him say the words, maybe sit at the head of the table, like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like they are saying, The Rock is coming back to face Roman Reigns. Yeah. And surely if you want the bloodline stuff done, just do it at WrestleMania. Then it is done. Because even if obviously Rock will leave after that and he'll probably officially retire the next day and probably Hall of Fame next year.
Could be, yeah.
But and then Roman will take a prolonged break. And then they can, if they could do a last dregs of it they want to afterwards, with maybe Solo Sikoa and the Usos all falling out and having a triple threat or something later on down the line. But,
Oh,
but
no more bloodline feuds going at that, please. Send it. Like, it's too much.
But here's the thing: like the bloodline stuff was. Sorry, go on, Andy. You go.
I was going to say, I think in terms of hearing the term bloodline, I think it's imminently about to go, because the thing with The Rock and Roman, you don't have to call it anything to do with the bloodline. The way I would do that is you just basically have it as this is a feud that threatens to break up the Anoa'i family. Like, this is the heritage behind wrestling. This is one of the biggest families and, most fruitful. Imagine, paint the scene. WWE is so good at doing their production videos where it's like the kind of the hype videos and the pre-match, where you kind of go through the story that is like the Anoa'i family and who it is included, like all the people that have come and gone and that have sadly left us, etc. And then this feud is to basically become the person who will be remembered as the best member of that family and that lineage. It doesn't have to be anything to do with the bloodline, but what it can be is in that build-up, maybe you do have Rikishi come on and you do him have an interview saying like, I've got to go with Roman, or I've got to go with Rock, and I understand that. And you basically have it like, you may be the best right now, but I've been the best of all time. That can be what The Rock is. Like, that's the way to paint it. Move on from the bloodline. The bloodline was the Usos, Solo, Roman, and Paul Heyman, and Sammy for a little bit as well. But you don't need that terminology anymore. Move on. It's done. After WrestleMania, for me, if it's said again, you're dredging up old water. It's done. Let it go.
Because even Jimmy versus Jay, that's just, you can repaint that as like the
we're going to get that tonight. We're going to get them stare down tonight.
So,
and that will lead their path to WrestleMania. And I'm interested in that as well. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's got to be a match at Mania. Here's the thing. Sorry, I'll just say with the bloodline thing, it hurt when Andy says you don't want to hear it and it's all done, because as much as I say dragging it out and that, I've got this fairy tale where the bloodline are all back together and they are part of the Rock storyline. But I understand what you're saying, where that's the way to do it. But I do think it's possible to put the bloodline back together. Jimmy and Jay fight each other, and therefore that's why I think this match could even still take place a year from now or at SummerSlam. That's enough time for Jimmy and Jay to face each other, and as Lucas says, potentially get back together as well. Going to swing to some of these comments here as well. Got some great comments again. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us and for dropping your thoughts in here as well. Steve says Rock and Roman won't be. This is a great one. Won't be as good as the build-up, so it makes sense to do it in Saudi, where the money is. That's a great point. I think the match probably won't be as good. I think we're all thinking about the promos. Let's be honest. So there is that side of it. But what was said earlier on, again, I think was by Lucas about this potentially, being a retirement match, then it needs to be on WrestleMania, So there is that side of it as well. Sludge Sports, and we always want to hear this, guys. What are your Royal Rumble meals? Butter chicken and garlic naan. As soon as that comment came up, I've been having a few rumbles in my own stomach as well. But yeah, great Rumble meal. I think I'm having a pizza tonight, guys. The deal says Roman needs a clean win tonight. No ref bumps or interference, and then have The Rock come out for a stare down after the match. A few things about that. First of all, yeah, I think you're right. Roman does need that. The problem is, Fatal 4-Ways isn't where you get that. This is traditionally the place where you do have all these kind of shenanigans. But then the potential of The Rock coming out at the end would be a great moment as well.
So just on a quick thing, that moment happening would be great. Let's say, hypothetically, Roman loses tonight, right?
Yeah.
Roman comes out on SmackDown and says, I may have lost the titles. I am still the head of this table.
And then The Rock comes
and
out.
then The Rock's music hits. I feel like that's okay. But I just, with the titles still involved, I can't. With the titles involved, I hate it.
If he's setting up WrestleMania, he's setting up at the Rumble, I think. Yeah. I mean, if we can move away, let's move away from The Rock now for a little bit. As he may not even show up tonight.
Yeah.
Show up at all. I know we got down this wormhole. But I think in terms of talking again about the men's Rumble match, something which, again, we touch upon, there's so many kind of these intertwining feuds that are existing on the main roster at the moment. And who outside of the people we've spoken about, is there anyone else you think that could actually do this? looking at the list of participants, think about returns. I mean, we may as well. I know we're meant to talk about them later, Scott, but we are getting almost a pre-show time, so maybe sort of touch upon some of the surprises now. I guess. Like,
and I think
we've not
we'll
discussed.
start,
because again, I don't know if Andy was on when we spoke about, I said about watching the 2017 Rumble and he's seeing Orton win, and at the time thinking anyone but Orton would win. And then when you watch it back, you go, actually, it makes a lot of sense because everyone else was tied up with everything else or was part-time. And then Orton winning it made sense because it was their first one at a stadium, and he's a big enough name to kind of do it with. He just started a new rivalry. Like, is there anyone in that same position now? Like, people have just started something new, something different. Again, I can name to throw out there. Someone like a Karrion Kross, like he's got a faction now, like he's got something going for him. Can they use the Rumble to catapult someone else? Because we hear this a lot, and I don't know, maybe I'll open up to everyone else. But like, what do we mean by when we say they don't need the Rumble to sort this out? Like, are we essentially saying that they're too popular, essentially, or like they're over enough, essentially, just to do the Lesnar way of doing things, just being like, well, I'm having a title match because I'm Brock Lesnar, like, or are we saying that we don't want to see it because it's been done, particularly when we're talking about people who have already won Rumble matches? I know Scott is not a fan of the multi-Rumble wins, but can we still get to essentially Cody and Seth and Seth and Punk, and Cody and Roman, or Cody and Roman, let's say, without either of those people winning the Rumble match? Is that possible?
Yes and no. I think a prime example of we said about Orton, right, with the Wyatt thing, but it led to something. I would say let's go back only a couple of years. Edge win. No one wanted Edge to win. When he won, everyone's like, "Oh, Edge won." Why? There was so much people there. Why? And I think that's my thing with the likes of Punk.
Well, there wasn't people there. Thunderdome, but
no, but do you know what I mean? Like, why Edge? Like, Edge didn't need to have that. He had his moment when he come back. Like, he didn't need to win another Rumble. So but it's a catch-22, because let's say, for example, it's not Drew, it's not Sheamus, it's not all the big names, and for example, I'm just putting a name out of the air, it's Ricochet. No one's going to be happy with that. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword again, because it's not, no one wants it to be Ricochet, but at the same time, but at the same time, that'd be great for him, because then he could go into a feud, for example, with Seth. But that
I think
it's hard to do. Like,
it's your pick, though, isn't it?
You have to be down the shuffle.
I think it's Gunther. Like, I think Gunther is the one, other than the problem the IC for me, is the one that could come out of left field and do it. And because both of those matches, one of them could be done without the Rumble. Sorry,
Andy's Andy's so emotive. I love it.
About the Rumble, like, could be the Elimination Chamber, right?
Oh, Scott.
Oh, he's gone. Say that again.
So my signal's going mad. Am I back?
Yeah,
you're back.
Sorry, one of the Cody or Punk things could be done without the Rumble because of the Chamber, but then I just think one of them has to be the Rumble. In other years, I'd be like, I don't want it to be because they're big stars already. But I think another one out of left field would be Drew McIntyre. I really don't know where he'd go, who he'd face. It'd probably be Seth out of the two of them. But Drew McIntyre, just because of the way his character is moving and the storyline we've had with him lately, and that whole thing with Punk that we mentioned earlier on, that's the kind of only other kind of thing I can see happening. Other than that, I just think it's one of those years where it is going to be one of the more obvious picks. Andy, what are your thoughts?
Right, I'm going to scattergun a load of theories and stuff like that, and then I'm going to head off, and I'll let you throw me out. So here's the thing.
Eliminate
with Drew. I think Drew's story tonight will be Sammy returning and eliminating Drew, and it sets up their feud to go back, because Sammy's been away since obviously Drew kind of took him out. He did appear on like the holiday shows, etc. But I think they've kept him away. They've given him the time off that apparently he wanted, and he'll come back a bit refreshed, and it gives something to Sammy and Drew to get the teeth into as well. I think that'll happen later on as well. I think you'll probably get down to the last 4 or 5 and Sammy comes out, and then Drew can kind of bleat on for another few weeks how someone else screwed him over, and it kind of fits into that character that he's doing at the moment. Yeah. So I think that's where you go with that. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see Cody number 1 and Gunther as number 30 as a reverse of last year's, because it's never quite sat right with me that a heel was number 1 and the face who won was number 30. It always felt reversed in terms of like what we would expect a heel and a face to kind of like act like. So I wouldn't be surprised. And if that does happen, I think Cody wins, because I think what they do is they show him as number 1. Because the whole thing last year we were talking about going into WrestleMania was, has Cody earned it? Has everything just been given to him? You know, he's not really had many challenges. Now, after that, they've thrown Brock Lesnar at him. They've thrown different people. This year, he could be number 1, and, you know, he has to overcome all that. And I think it does the heavy lifting, because how do you get Cody versus Roman in a nice linear way? Because they're on opposite brands. There's no reason why he'd have to accept that challenge. It definitely feels like the easier way to get Cody against Roman, and that would set up a nice, to me, I know people might not like it, I would set up a nice tournament or use the Elimination Chamber to put a number 1 contender in for Seth, which means that Seth doesn't have to get involved. He can rehab, and that way you can have Drew, Sammy, Gunther, CM Punk in an Elimination Chamber, or have like a top tier tournament where everyone can like get involved. Jey Uso would be another one where Jimmy can then cost him. So you've got all these spirals off of the main thing. So there's another sort of option. But the one for me, and I can't see CM Punk winning it for 2 reasons. One, if he wins, can you trust that nothing goes wrong with CM Punk backstage for the next 2 months, where they wouldn't effectively have to not talk about the Royal Rumble of 2024? Before WrestleMania. No, that surely factors in. The other one is, quite frankly, if you think about it from a real point of view, which is what Triple H seems to ground everything in, why would CM Punk come back, win a Royal Rumble, and pick Seth? Because he wants the main event. Now, the main event is Roman. So logic dictates, why would he not just turn around and go, I've won, I don't care about Seth and his new title, and like put a little bit of shade that way? He would pick Roman Reigns, and that hasn't been talked about at all. So I just think, like, logically speaking, CM Punk can't win, because if he wanted the main event, which is night 2 of WrestleMania, let's face it, he would pick Roman Reigns, and I don't think they would do it. So personally, I don't think you have CM Punk win it, because it defies logical thinking.
Wow, that's speaking of Punk, that's a pipe bomb right there. It's an interesting way to look at it, because because maybe, like you say, Triple H has like this realistic approach, and everybody knows that Punk as a person would probably say that. You know, you're right, Roman Reigns. But surely Punk's compromise for coming in, knowing that he's a bit of a, you know, they might have thought about not touching him for a while, and they did. Surely it's good enough to win the Rumble would be against Seth in the sort of main event of 9-1. But he famously, a while ago, said, you know, if you think the grass is greener, go over there and be part of a buy one, get one, you know, night 4 extravaganza, whatever he said about WrestleMania. So it is a funny thing if he ends up headlining night 1 rather than night 2. So, a great point. And, of course, that was said again in front of MJF. Yeah, MJF, I should say. You know, the deal says they could go completely off the rails, and MJF wins the Rumble. All right. So, excuse me, Rob, you've got to hop out for just a moment. You're going to be coming back in just a minute. But let's get to
eliminate Andy first.
I'll let you eliminate Andy. I will say before I get thrown out, the other one with Gunther, the reason why I was shaking my head is because I think, for me, the plan might have originally been that Brock Lesnar was supposed to be the person to eliminate Gunther to set that up for WrestleMania. Yeah. That can happen later on. But I will pose, what could be cool is people are saying an NXT talent might be the one who comes in.
Braun, make it Braun.
How good would it be to have Dragunov be the one who comes in and eliminates Gunther, and we get Dragunov versus Gunther at WrestleMania? And on that note, I'll let you check it out.
That's good. All right, let's chuck him out. It's been great having you, Andy. Check him out, Wrestling Royalty, and we'll put his Twitter up again in a moment. But hold on, there we go. See you later. But yeah, thank you so much for Andy, and also for Dom joining us earlier on. Again, you can check him out on X, formerly known as Twitter, with the handles just below us here. Rob, you're going to go out the bottom rope, right? You're going to come out the bottom rope and come back in just a moment.
All
right, we'll see you in just a moment, buddy. Let's get to some more of these comments, Lucas. We've had some great ones tonight, and they are thick and fast as well. We've got Sludge Sports says that number one will definitely be Cody. After Andy's kind of explanation there, I could definitely see that being the case.
Steve, he said, just touch upon Andy said about Cody being 1 and Gunther being 30. What are their numbers 1 and 2?
That would be good.
Gunther.
Yeah,
they did that with, again, rehashing what we did with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. They were the last 2 in the Rumble in 2007. The first 2 in 2008. So I think that, that could be a nice way of doing things. Because for me, it's because Cody Rhodes is such a kind of a wrestling historian and wrestling nerd, in the nicest way of that word, really. And I think he will want his numbers, these moments to mean something. And so I've got a few theories about numbers that I think Cody could be. That we can discuss later on, but next comment.
All right, brilliant. So Steve says, I want people like Jey Uso and Baron Corbin. Good shout there, because he's done some great work lately in NXT. So have a strongest showing. They won't win, but who do you think? Who do you want to look good in the match as a whole? We're going to come back to that next, actually, because we're going to start talking about our Iron Man and Iron Woman. Who's going to go out first? Who's going to be eliminated? So, Steve, we'll be coming back to that just after we get to the rest of these comments. Sludge says he will be the Iron Man, and surprise entrance Hogan from Paragon. You know what? I think that is actually going to happen. I know he's a controversial figure and for good reason, but I actually think they've tried to kind of brush past that as much as they could. It's the 40-year anniversary. He made that hint the other day. It'd be difficult to throw him over the top rope, don't get me wrong, with his back and his hips and whatever else has gone wrong with him. But I do think they will 100% be tempted to give him his final moment in the ring in the sun. And I think the Rumble, it might be the best way to do it if it's ever going to happen. He ain't having a match at WrestleMania. So the deal says Dirty Dom will be the Iron Man tonight. You know what? That's not a bad shout. He could do the old road holding on the bottom. That's a really good shout. I might steal that from my prediction. Slow Sports says Cody and Drew will start the Rumbles. Drew's a good shout for starting as well, actually. I think he's someone that could last for a lot of it. And again, play up to that whole kind of, it was unfair how I got thrown out. I do think, as Andy said, Sami Zayn could be a big surprise here tonight as well, because
I'm
he's only just
Zayn might be
time off, hasn't he?
Or
that'd be
29 maybe, actually 29.
Because
the trend that's been happening again, just a bit on how during the stream just now, what I was saying earlier, I have recently rewatched in the past couple of weeks now all the Royal Rumble matches from the year 2000. And something that has come up quite a few times is the numbers 28, 29 do tend to be a biggish kind of name or return.
Yeah.
Because obviously they are been trying to kind of avoid that always been the number 30. In particular, in the year when the number 30 sadly hasn't been a surprise, or not sadly, but hasn't been a surprise or hasn't been someone particularly fans.
I'm
trying to think of enough to dress it up, but do you know what I mean? When number 30 has undelivered, they've delivered sometimes on 28 and 29, being kind of big moments and big surprises. Something I would say to answer what Andy was saying as well, but the Punk thing. I kind of see what he means. Obviously, kayfabe and real right wise, obviously Punk should be wanting to go after the person who holds the Undisputed Championship, which as now is Roman Reigns. And also I think it could have been a lot more interesting. I did feel when Punk signed to Raw, I think they could have let this free agent stuff go a bit longer. We're obviously, we're football fans here as well, and some of our, we have internationalism. I understand this, but obviously we are at the moment in, the transfer window season over here, and as we know, it's one of the most exciting times that happens because people can go from a club which they played at for like 5, 6, 7 seasons to another place, especially now the whole world has opened up with this. And obviously that's probably not something for the football channel, but it is really quite interesting. And in wrestling, though, it just obviously would mean that he could show up on both brands, like he could flirt with both champions a bit more. But now it seems like they pigeonholed him to Raw, that he's only destined to face Seth Rollins for that championship. And it therefore makes, I guess for some people, it could make him more of a pick, I guess, to win the Rumble because of that. Because it's like, well, the obvious story is there. He's on Raw, so he's going to win the Rumble and face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, which, again, is an obvious story. Like, and we have seen obvious happen previously. But I think they were missing a trick by jumping to that straight away when they could have had him, be in the, free agent stage still. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I think that could, because part of when you were saying it, I was doing exactly that. I was going, oh yeah, that makes it more likely that he's going to win. And part of me was like, that makes it less likely he's going to win, because if they kept a free agency, it's like, then they could play. So I'm like, well, because they haven't kept it, it means they know he's going after Seth. But then I'm like, well, because they haven't kept it, it means that Seth's too obvious and it's not going to happen. So yeah, it's an interesting. But yeah, it is strange they did it straight away.
Yeah, I do see Andy's point, about the possible behaviour thing as well. Like, I guess that's always going to follow CM Punk around, because obviously there's cause for that to follow him around, I guess.
It's a lot to give someone with that reputation.
You'd like to imagine that there is so much written into that contract, around behaviour, around, actions and things that they can that they can do if he does misbehave. And I guess it's one of those where they're going to have to, at some point, the problem, no matter whether it's WrestleMania or SummerSlam or the Backlash or whatever, they're going to have to, at some point, promise a match of CM Punk. So it's a case of, there's always going to be a situation where if you're worried about him walking out with promises to come,
at some point,
it's always going to happen, isn't it?
I guess it's just the biggest one, though, isn't it? Rumble to Mania is the biggest risk, of all of them. So, yeah, there is that. So yeah, let's get back to that comment just a moment ago of who basically could get a good show and who we would like to get a good showing, because I think it leads in quite nicely again to our whole kind of predictions for kind of Iron Man and all that kind of stuff. We'll go men's Rumble first, and we'll go through them. So again, if you're new to the channel, basically we have a predictions table, and Lucas is going for a little snooze now. We have a predictions table, and we've got, of course, our predictions for who's going to win. But on this one, we have some special predictions as well for who's going to be the Iron, man or woman, who's going to have the most eliminations, who's going to be out first as well. So let's start. I'm going to throw it around to Rob first of all, mate. Let me know for the men, who's going to be in it for the longest amount of time, who's going to eliminate the most people, and who's going to be eliminated first?
Longest time. So the Iron Man of the match, yeah?
Yeah.
Jey Uso.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah. Most eliminations?
Trying to think of someone that's really going to get a good showing. It's out there. It's a little out there, but I feel like they're gonna use him because I think he's ready to come up. I'm gonna go Bron Breakker.
Oh,
okay.
Very good pick, actually.
Okay, and the first to eliminate. Always tough on this one because it's you never really know who's going to be in the match and whatever else. But who's the first to be eliminated, Rob?
JD McDonough.
That's not bad, but it's because of the character he's got, but also there might be a lot going on with the judgment, so it's hard to tell. Lucas, what about you, mate? First, let's go with the Iron Man for the match.
I actually was side with Rob. I think Jey Uso. I think there might be a combination where they do Cody first, but it depends on if Cody's going to win. I guess he has to then from first be the Iron Man. He's doing that. I think Jey Uso. Yeah, maybe Cody will go a bit later then, potentially then. Because other numbers that I guess Cody would want to pick potentially. on the number that Randy Orton won from, I think number 8.
Yeah.
And obviously his daddy being, tied up with the old NWA business, he might also pick, and obviously and I know he's a massive Hogan fan as well himself. He might pick one of the numbers that Hogan won. They were quite later on in the match.
Right.
I think like 24 and then 27 Hogan won for, I think, the second time. So yeah, I'll go Jey Uso. Then for most eliminations, I think I'm going to stick to an obvious one. I know he's not announced the match yet, but I think you can never dismiss like a big guy being in there, and so I'm going to go for Omos. I think I know there's talk about him being repackaged or whatever, but I feel he might do the Rumble, get this, and then like be repackaged later on or whatever, or he might even return as the repackage in this. But it's one of those easy ones to do. Like every time a Rumble comes around, you're just like, well, it's a big guy. They're going to throw lots of people out. And because I kind of see them having to share eliminations equally amongst the likes of Cody, CM Punk, Drew, even Gunther, to be fair, like maybe they eliminate 3 or 4. If Omos really doesn't need to eliminate more than like 5, let's say, and that could be the most eliminations in the match, isn't it?
Yeah.
First eliminated. This is bloody hard. Traditionally, it's usually the person that comes out at number 3. Very often in the Rumble match. I will go with. Let me have a look at the list of people that have been announced officially, as I think it'd be one of them. I don't think it will be anyone new. I'll
bring up the graphics. Not got everyone on, but we'll.
I will go with Akira Tozawa.
Okay, he's not on the graphics, so fair enough. Akira, that makes sense.
I'm talking between him or Grayson Waller. I know it sounds really weird, but it seems like they like that spot of like the heel coming out. Like number 1 and 2 are going at it. Number 3 comes out and they're a bit up themselves, and then they just get dumped out before number 4 comes. It's happened like a number of times in previous Rumbles. And it's just a case of someone had Grayson Waller, even Austin Theory, as much as that will suck for them. But I think they want to probably show they're still faithful with them. So I think it will be someone. I think, Akira Tozawa, it's like a jokey kind of one. Like to get rid of and and that works for me. If it is like Cody and Gunther start, it's like a real hard hitting start, and then Akira comes in, they can do a little bit of that, and then obviously he gets eliminated like straight away, and then Otis will come out potentially at number 4 and get a bit longer. This is in my head, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
just to, I don't want to step on your toes. But with the Tozawa stuff, they've been really pushing that with the Alpha Academy. So with him having all these moments with the Alpha Academy, do you think they're willing to throw him out early, or do you think they'll let him go?
Yeah, I think for some people, being in the match is kind of the honor, the prize, and I think it is one of those where someone's got to go out first. Someone's got to last in less than 10 seconds. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's only so many kind of these.
And sometimes that's a spot in itself because it can be part of your character, so it's not always a bad thing.
Bless him, probably never did much in way of in-ring action, but Titus O'Neil will forever be known for his contribution to Rumble matches. It's not an official Raw Rumble, but it was the greatest Raw Rumble.
Yeah.
But it is something which they even gave him the spot the next year, and I think that existed because that happened. Because he was by that point he was so down the pecking order that he really didn't need a Rumble spot, but because that original spot existed, he then got another spot the next year off the back of it. And it's like that. Like if Akira's job today is just come out there when we've got Cody and Drew, or Cody and Punk, or Cody and Gunther going at it, hard hitting strikes, you come out, do a little joke gimmick, do a little dance or whatever it's going to be, like do your moves, and then get dumped out with a massive chop from Gunther. People back, especially in Triple H's WWE now, like he sees that stuff and goes, "Oh, maybe next time we do like a paper PLE, like we're going to put Alpha Academy in like a 6-man tag, and then you're going to beat insert 3 people here." I think so. Sometimes it is just like the match is the reward. you know, and I
Yeah,
think it's his first Rumble as well.
I just had this image in my head. Now it sounds ridiculous, but it's the idea of Tozawa being in there, all these big guys, and then somehow he manages to like throw over an Omos or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
Went straight for
He
Omos,
celebrates, then gets thrown over. Like to me, it just seems like that's how they do that sort of thing. I just think it'd be funny for him to finally get his moment, throw someone over, in celebrating
There's a
and
few
doing
here
his
though,
part.
because they could also start. I'm just saying they've got like Carlito and Santos Escobar in, like, and obviously they're obviously feuding, and you could even have like, let's say Carlito comes at number 3, and then Santos Escobar comes at number 4, and Carlito goes obviously straight for him, gets distracted. And all it takes is like a split-second distraction, isn't it? In the one match, a split-second distraction. Carlito's enraged, takes his eye off Santos Escobar, boom, he's out. Then Carlito's the first person out, and it's not a bad spot that. Because that will continue, obviously, the direction they want that to go in. Maybe on SmackDown, I guess, and not to the Chamber. But it's still just a case of that. If that is what I'm getting at, is I think if your Rumble spot is you have to be out first, like I think it can just be anyone. Because if you're not winning, like it's still like it's just one of the many other lists of spots that exist, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big moment still. Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
You mentioned there Carlito taking his eyes off of Santos Escobar, and that's something you shouldn't do. So I'm going to encourage you to watch our interview with Santos Escobar on this very channel. If you haven't seen it already, we've got plenty of interviews on this channel with WWE superstars from over the years as well. Let's get into, I'm going to give mine, and then we're going to get into a few of these newer comments as well. I'm going to go with the somewhat easy ones. I think in some ways, I think Iron. I think I will go with Cody. I like the idea of Jey Uso, but the contradictory one for me there was the potential for Cody being in early. Whether or not he wins, I don't know. And I think if he don't win, it's even better because then it's more of a sure thing because it's the whole kind of he was really strong, but he didn't win. So there you go, Iron Man Cody. I'm going to go with a safe bet here. I'm going to go for Gunther. I think that's his kind of prize. He might have even done it last year. I don't know. It just feels about right, don't it? Then the first out, I like the idea of Grayson Waller, so I'm going to nick that one as well. I do think maybe Austin Theory is likely as well because they're basically the same character, but one of them is doing better than the other at the moment, and it is Grayson Waller. So if Theory happened to go out first, I think we'd all be kind of awkwardly biting our lip going, it's a bit awkward for Theory, whereas for Grayson we'd be going, this is a good spot for him, because he's then going into the Australia pay-per-view where he's going to have a big moment surely anyway. So I thought, maybe that's a bad thing. You don't want to go into that looking bad, but that could be a whole storyline. It could even be that Austin throws him out and it becomes Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller or something like that. But I don't know, maybe you don't want to turn either of them face yet. You'd probably have to do that anyway. But either way, I think Grayson Waller is a potential first eliminated. So I'm going to go with that one there as well. Let's go. And again, that's not anything to say that he's not doing well or not going to get pushed. I think sometimes going out first could be part of your, the beginnings of your push. A few kind of comments we've got coming in. Again, we've got Steve saying Punk wins and challenges Seth. Cody is last eliminated and gets to go to SmackDown to challenge Roman. This is the thing about the Rumble and Chamber. Things change all over the place. I don't think Roman's losing it tonight, but every other year you go, well, if this person loses the belt, then this changes everything as far as, with 2 titles, as we've said as well. It really does make it exciting. Live Sports says these signs in the pre-show are funny. I haven't got a pre-show on. My signal is barely holding out enough for this. So if anyone's watching the pre-show, let us know what's going on. Or Sludge, let us know what those signs are all about as well. Let's swing it around. I mean, we kind of answered our Steve's question there as far as who you want to see look good in the match by saying who the Iron Man is. We all in agreement that the people we've picked are also the ones we want to see have a good showing, because I think what you're saying there is true. Jey Uso would be great. I think him and Jimmy's gonna have a meeting in the middle. I don't know off the top of my head if there's anyone else I really think, I want them to look good. I probably will get that when a certain theme song hits. But at the moment, any other names calling out to you guys as far as thinking I want them to have a good showing?
2 things, Scott. Last year, Gunther and Cody had the record last year. Not record again. They were the most eliminations last year.
Eliminations?
Crap. 5 episodes last year. And also, just announced on Twitter. I still call it Twitter because I'm old. Dirty Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, and Finn Balor are all part of the Rumble match. That takes our list up to 20 wrestlers. We've discussed already a lot of these people, but let me go. Shall we just start going through this list, maybe, I guess, so we can just see. We've discussed these people already quite a lot, so I'll skim past them. Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Gunther. We then are dropping down, though, to dropping down. We are then continuing this list, let's say, with Shinsuke Nakamura, who was a third person to be confirmed for this match. So after Cody did it, his promo, and after CM Punk did, Shinsuke Nakamura was the first person, and he was confirmed for the match on January the 4th, which is
so long ago.
calendar for fans of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah,
That's the date that WWE chose to announce that Shinsuke Nakamura will be appearing in the Rumble match. Obviously won it, didn't he, in 2018? So 6 years ago, he won that match. Obviously, I think he's a far way away from kind of, getting it again. If you put bets on who will be his 2-time winner, I think he's very low down the list. That was very much a one and done. They saw the match, didn't they? The AJ Styles and Shinsuke match in New Japan, wanted to do it at WrestleMania,
and they messed it up.
Yeah, it was all a bit of a mess, wasn't it? It's something personally, I think, from being a part of a 6-hour WrestleMania, something was always always gives.
Yeah, definitely.
We've then got Bobby Lashley, another interesting one, WWE champion.
I think that's going to feed into the cross feud, personally.
Yeah, I see that too. We've discussed already Drew McIntyre, Gunther. Then Chad Gable. We have got all 3 of Alpha Academy, and at the moment entering the match. They all announced together. But as seen a lot of times with tag teams, actually, you end up with one of them potentially not entering the match, or getting attacked, or something happening, because it is 3 of them all announced together, which it seems a bit odd. I'd like to see Chad Gable get a good showing, though.
It'd be a good Iron Man.
The only thing
he would be a good Iron Man. Yeah, that's a great shout.
Is the fact that he just is a bit short. That's literally it. If he was a few inches taller, I maintain that Chad Gable would be a multiple champion in WWE.
Size doesn't matter.
It does in the land of WWE, though. Sadly.
Yeah, I mean, for a while they called him Shorty G, so there is that as well.
Oh, don't get me started.
But he definitely deserves. I mean, he's the man. German suplex Braun Strowman.
He made it
look like it was just easy. The man's insane. He's so talented. And it just feels like he's definitely someone I'd like to get a good showing in there. But it feels like with the character he's got at the moment, it's not really going to happen. Otis, for Mr. Money in the Bank.
Scott's favourite.
It still hurts that happened. It still hurts, Scott.
It does.
One that might be interesting, considering that Damian Priest confirmed his participation on Raw this past week, followed by fellow kind of Judgment Day member R-Truth announcing on SmackDown, or was announced on SmackDown that he'll be appearing, and only today have the other members of Judgment Day. Maybe let's now talk about Judgment Day, I guess. Then, what's their goal for this Rumble? Because they have been presented as the main attraction, I guess.
That's a good point, because it feels like they're such a big deal, but no one will win it. None of them. It feels like will win it.
There is 5 of them, if you count R-Truth. In this match, I think R-Truth deserves the showing. I think he deserves.
He will. He will get something.
Do you think?
I think he deserves. Eliminates 2 of them.
I think R-Truth eliminates Dom and JD.
Yeah.
The thing about Priest
he claims he eliminated Dominic Mysterio and claimed that he's eliminated 2 people. Because it's Dominic Mysterio.
Dominic.
My God. If he eliminates Dom Mysterio and points to the referee and says, "That's 2 right. That's 2 right."
Mate, that's such a great spot.
And then gets dumped out by Finn or
Damien.
But Judgment, what's their goal for this Rumble then? Because Rhea's the women's champion. She's pretty much set to be part of WrestleMania at this point. Chamber aside, for now. But the others, what are they set to kind of do? They've got.
I guess if they were going to do anything Roman,
weirdly enough, right? So again, we're saying Judgment Day, they're a big part of the show, but they're not they don't look like they're going to win. You know, a few people lately have been saying, "Oh, Damian Priest is stupid for entering the Rumble because he's already got a match." I don't think he is. I think I like the idea of a Money in the Bank winner winning the Rumble while they still have the briefcase. To say,
Yeah, me
I've got
too.
two. I've got two
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And here's the thing.
And
And
then lose them
they can lose
both.
at Mania. They could do that, but they could cash straight in. Yeah. But the other thing of that is.
Yeah.
There's someone else I'm always thinking, also thinking from Judgment Day that could actually, weirdly enough, when we were talking earlier on about maybe, and I didn't say it then, but what if Finn Balor does win it? He's had a resurgence in recent years as this kind of new person, part of his character even. If he wins it, and again, at the moment we're like, oh, it's Cody, it's Seth, and that, you know, and Punk or whatever. It seems somewhat obvious. What if it's not? What if it is the year of Judgment Day? We were talking a few months ago how the Judgment Day could implode because of Finn's quest for the title, and you know, Priest with a briefcase. There could be some sort of turn. What if that is still the case, and maybe Finn wins the Rumble? This, you know, maybe not. But I'm just saying, if Finn won the Rumble and goes off faces either champ, and he nearly does it, but Priest cashes in and makes it a triple threat and wins it like the highest of the century with Seth Rollins, that would be been incredible as well. That would lead us into an amazing storyline that we expected would happen a few months ago and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And something's going to happen with Priest anyway.
Yeah, what do you think, Rob?
Look, I'm all for it. The double thing and then the cash in after if you don't lose at Mania. I think that'd be something that we haven't seen before. Another thing that we haven't seen before, obviously it's not going to happen. But thoughts on the idea of, let's say Seth was fit and he wanted, let's say a champion was in the Rumble. We've not had the champion cashed in on the Rumble. Is that something that you'd like to see going down the line?
Enough. Yeah, when the other day there were thoughts of like, and I hate the Rumble being defended. Sorry, the title being defended the Rumble. I hate that. But if they were going to do it, I did think the same thing. You could cash in within the Rumble, take the title, and just leave.
Yeah.
So, is that the kind of thing you're talking about, like that, or? I
was going to say, like, you know how the 24/7 9/11 I-95 title would be defended in the Rumble, obviously going in and everyone just piling on and doing a pin. Not in obviously that sense, but if there was a champion in there and Priest cashed in, while the champion was in there, he said just cashing in.
It would be surreal to see a pinfall in the middle of
I would like to see that happen.
It'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Yeah.
But what the other thing I'd like to see
happened obviously during the lockdown, the pandemic Rumble, I think. Because again, I think they, something which obviously happened in that Rumble. I'm saying because I just literally rewatched it like yesterday, actually. Is they were able to do things differently because of obviously having no fans, and I think a lot of that Rumble exists because of the pandemic, and so I don't think they'd do anything. They did then, like now. And obviously it was with a much lower card championship. I guess it's probably a conversation for like another day, this, because it does in a weird, now obviously the Rumble being now, and obviously we're talking about Chamber, we're talking about WrestleMania and The Rock and all this kind of stuff. Like, it does seem like the Money in the Bank briefcase is somewhat way down the pecking list, and it's kind of getting scary because it's not too long after WrestleMania when the next Money in the Bank pay-per-view will be happening. They have to kind of make a decision as to what they're going to do with this current one, this incumbent one, because does he cash in and lose? Does he cash in? Personally, I think he's cashing in at the Chamber, but that's, again, it's probably another discussion for the next month or so. But in terms of this Rumble, like, I don't see it happening. Someone else has just been announced as well for the men's Rumble match, and that is one half or former Raw Tag Team Champions, the Viking Raiders. That is Ivar. Ivar has been confirmed. Via
we had a few Ivar predictions earlier.
Don't even get started, Sludge. Don't even comment.
So I know again Rob's going to hop out under the bottom rope, so we're going to throw him out underneath, and he'll be back in just a moment. Lucas, we should start moving into, I think, the women's Rumble in a minute, and our kind of random predictions for that one as well. Let's get to a few comments before such as in Ivar. Yeah, there you go. You might get your wish, buddy. Also, lets us know some of those funny signs he saw as well. RKO me daddy and Chelsea Green is my mum. And of course, mentioned earlier on that R-Truth is number 19. A critic, still very excited about the Rumble, as we all are, buddy.
Yeah,
Thanks
we
so
all
much for joining us tonight. Whether you're
Loads of
watching on
comments
YouTube,
tonight.
yeah, YouTube or X or Twitch, we really do appreciate you. Subscribe wherever you are. And yeah, we'd love to see you again on one of our streams in the future. Again, we're going to try our best to be back tonight, actually, for an instant reaction if the signal holds up and things like that as well. We'll be back straight after the show. And then after that, whether we are or we're not, we'll be back, of course, for Elimination Chamber coverage all the way into the road to WrestleMania, and a lot more coming on this very channel. As well. I'm going to bring Rob back in. He snuck back in through the bottom rope once again. And
I feel like Tie and Tie. Do you remember in the 2000 when
again, I watched a bit of that the other day. So yeah, quite fresh in my memory. Well, we're going to get on to the women's. Actually, you know what? I'll bring it up because while you were gone, you'll guess what Slud Sports commented.
Get him out, kick him. Get him out.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
eliminated.
Let's go with the women's and our kind of picks for. Again, we all picked Bailey to win if you've just joined us, by the way. But let's go for the Iron Woman. I was last time, so I'll kind of jump in first for this one.
Scott,
I'm going to say... Go on.
I was saying just to confirm that Valhalla has also been announced, the Women's Rumble.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Valhalla.
Okay.
So at the moment, there are
Far out
11
first.
women announced, for the Women's Rumble. I'll just go through
Yeah.
them before. I'll go for them. I'll say them now.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Bailey, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Maxine Dupree, Ivy Nile, Alba Fire, Shotzi, Zelina Vega, Michin, and now Valhalla. So 11 women have declared themselves so far.
Okay, I'm going to go then. You know what? Random, just thought of it just then. Because I think they want her to look good because she's been put out in a good place. She was put into a stable and she's had a name change, and it is Michin. I think I'm going to put her for Iron Woman actually, because I think they have a bit of stock in her, and that is a good role for someone like her. It's not as predictable. Maybe it's not great for the points tally, but if I'm right, I'm right. So I'm going to go with Michin for the Iron Woman. I'm going to go for most eliminations. I'm going to go with Becky because she's a big name. And the first out, I'm going to go with Chelsea Green. So they're my picks for the bonus points in the Women's Rumble match. Let's go with you, Lucas, for this one.
So
Iron
Woman. So I picked Bailey to win. I think that they will go with something on the lines of Becky. Yeah, I'm going to go with Becky. Yeah, as Iron
Becky
Woman.
for the Iron, yeah.
Most eliminations. I'm torn here. It's hard. Do you guys find it hard, like when someone's not announced yet, because you don't know whether he's hard in it, you don't know whether to say it.
Yeah, these ones fit, and the first elimination one I find the hardest.
See, I'm tempted to say Jade Cargill because
That's
again,
a good
I
shout,
think they're going to split.
because even if she's
But
not in
again,
it for
I'm
long,
looking-
she could. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm looking at obviously last year's Rumble, and there was 5 eliminations for both in the men's for both Gunther and Cody. No one else got above like 3, so it's just a case of in this Rumble, I think you got like Becky and Nia and Bailey and Damage Control probably, who could all get like a couple eliminations each, and they seems like do things with the women as well, particularly because you've got adding with the women, they're most likely going to have Hall of Famers and like more so than and the people from NXT and stuff. So it opens up the match like much more for there could be a few people that get like one apiece, if that makes sense. Like what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just to get because again, like, if someone from NXT again, like the spot is you're coming into the Rumble and eliminating someone. That's a cool spot. Do you know what I mean? But anyway. And so, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll do it. It's a bonus one. Like, the only other person I would have said was Bianca Belair. So, I guess in some ways, it's still I'm still quids in a way if no one else apart from Bianca does it. I'm not like sitting here saying, oh, would have picked them. Because I wouldn't have. So, yeah, Jade Cargill for most eliminations. And then first eliminated, I would stick with my theory of it being someone who's already announced. I believe the first person eliminated from the match will be Valhalla. Actually, now that I know she's in it.
Okay. Let's go round to Rob. Before I do, I'm going to give you the chance to be influenced by Sludge Sports here, Rob. We've got
I don't want to hear what
Iron
Sludge has got to say anymore.
Iron Woman Becky, first
Mhm.
person out. Kelly, that'd be a surprise entrance and to go out first. I can see that actually. Or Valhalla also agrees with you, Lucas, and then says most
Okay.
eliminations. Very angry
that.
about this, but the
person.
potential for Nia Jax, that kind of makes sense
Aye.
as well. A critic says, I'm pumped up and great stream, lads. Much appreciated, mate. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Everyone in the
critic.
comments as well. And Steve says, Akira could be like Santino in a 40-man Rumble. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of these kind of, Akira's got to have some sort of important spot because they've been building towards something. It's going to be, comedy and that kind of stuff either way. So, Rob, where you going with it, mate?
All right. Start with Iron Woman.
Yeah, the Iron Woman.
Shotzi.
You love her, don't you?
Oh, okay. All right. Most eliminated?
Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I feel like Nia's
And I
probably
hope
done it before, but yeah.
I hope Sludge really hated the fact that he had to type that as well. I hope that hurt your thumbs. And first out, I think Maxine Dupree.
Okay. It's another one where I think there's got to be some sort of comedy in it, but I guess she's the only one. Like all the
I think
teammates
build
are in the
with
men's one,
Valhalla.
so, yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen. It'll be kind of along that line.
Okay, nice. Another comment from a critic says, I'll be back for the next pay-per-view stream. Best stream I've seen. That is so kind of you, mate. Really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much. Hope you subscribed already, buddy. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, man. I really appreciate the kind words there as well. Sludge Sports says, Maxine Dupree. No. She has Final Four potential. But that would be quite funny as well.
I thought we were friends.
But thank you everyone that's joined us tonight. It's been a lot of fun as always. These build-up streams are great because we're quite casual on them because we do predictions and recap reviews. We even interviewed them superstars on this channel as well, but build-up's a real kind of time to kind of just chill out and be a wrestling fan. We're working within the media here, but it's a real kind of fun time for us to just kind of remember what it's all about. Those days of being a kid and watching the Sky box office 10-minute preview 50,000 times before the Rumble starts.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of wanted to be for me when I started doing these streams. So everyone needs to sub and build this stream. We'll see. Thank you so much again, buddy. Really appreciate it. So I think we've all got our official predictions down.
Yeah.
So we'll start wrapping up now and getting out of here because we've all got to make our kind of midnight snacks for the Rumble itself. Again, we're going to try our best, signal permitting. It's been pretty decent so far, so hopefully we'll be able to do this. But we'll get a stream set up just in case we can all go live at the end of the show as well. But once again, I want to say thank you so much to Dom for joining us earlier from the Give Me a Whole Year podcast, also of Soundsphere and WrestleSphere. Want to say thank you, of course, to Andy for joining us, Andrew Spores of Wrestling Royalty as well. But of course, thank you so much to Dan for sending in his notes and also to Rob and Lucas for joining me as well. Before we do get out of here, we've got one more video from Dan, so I'll play that. His kind of overall thoughts on the PLE, and then we'll wrap up and get out of here after that.
So I think the Royal Rumble is shaping up to be one heck of a show. I feel as though there's going to be a few surprises along the way. WWE have obviously teased the likes of Hulk Hogan coming in. They've been teasing the likes of Jade Cargill. There's even a big tease that Sasha Banks could return. But only time will tell. Obviously, sorry that I can't join you guys, but enjoy the rest of the stream. And keep watching Rebellious Noise. Like, share, and subscribe. Follow us all on Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it now. Instagram, Facebook, Bebo, MySpace. All that malarkey. Keep following us, guys. Enjoy the Royal Rumble match. Enjoy the Royal Rumble as a whole. As we are well and truly now on the road to WrestleMania 40. Point at the WrestleMania sign. And we go on to WrestleMania. Take care, guys. See you later.
Brilliant. Yeah, once again, thanks to Dan for sending these thoughts. As he said, follow us on social media down below. You can see at RN Pro Wrestling for wrestling stuff, but general Rebellious Noise talk at Reb Noise, REBNOISE for Rebellious Noise content overall as well. We'll get to these comments just before we get out of here as well. Critic Gas is Rob to win the Rumble and enter at number 1. Rob, you got to make your way quickly over to the States, mate. But,
I need to make myself a chocolate pudding first.
Yeah, if you eat chocolate puddings, you're probably not winning the Rumble. Let's put it that way. All right, but anyway, yeah, thank you so much. Go on, Rob.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you got any thoughts on people who might be like random returning?
Yeah, let's go for that because we had that comment earlier, didn't we, about legends and that. So yeah, good point.
X-Pac, I'd like to see return. He said he's
great.
not fit, so which might be rumors floating. AJ Lee. Is it happening?
It makes sense. I don't know if it's too soon. I think it will happen someday if the relationship stays good with Punk. But yeah, Sludge really wants Kelly, even though he wants her out first as well.
Naomi.
See, this is the thing that we've been talking for 3.5 hours, and there are still so many incredible things that we could be talking about as well. Rumble is shaping up to be a great show this year, and even if they don't all happen, like there are still some decent ones. Like the fact that we could come out of this, stream and watch all this stuff and then do an instant reaction and talk about Sasha Banks was back, or maybe it is The Rock, or maybe there was something shocking with The Rock, with Seth and Punk, or maybe it is a return of Sami Zayn, or maybe we do get Liv Morgan, or maybe we do get Alexa Bliss. There are so many potential returns and entrants. Jade Cargill could debut. It really is a big one. And again, all the scenarios that could come out of it. It is possible that Roman loses his title. It is possible that Cody is a 2-time Rumble winner. There is so much to kind of get in. Rob Stero to debut, says Acrylic Galaxy. But yeah, for me, I think some of those names there really excite me. There is the possibility of, even the Hogan one and stuff like that as his final cameo before he rides off into the sunset as well. Number 30, it wouldn't be the worst, I know, again, controversial figure, but it is what it is. I think WWE will be tempted to do something with him before, they cannot. So that's my kind of final thoughts on it. Lucas, what about you, mate? Anyone else you think could randomly pop tonight?
Oh, it's so hard for surprise entrance. Yeah, I think X-Pac's a shout. Like, I think the ones you got to look at really are people that are kind of already kind of in their ecosystem, so to speak. So the people that are the trainers in the performance center, the people that are the road agents, all that kind of stuff. So you got like people like Billy Kidman, you got Albert, Matt Bloom, A-Train person. There's always going to be people. I haven't really been paying attention to Twitter and the who's on what flight game that people like playing over there. But I think to be fair, they've got such a stacked roster. I think the surprise of the night will most likely be Sasha or Naomi returning, or both of them potentially returning in the Women's Rumble. I think the men's one, because it's so stacked, and I think they're going to do Sami Zayn obviously being, he returning as part of the surprise thing. I don't know, but the men's one, I think, people are kind of expecting another Edge level kind of return, let's say. I think they might be a bit disappointed, particularly because so many of the big men's names are obviously working for AEW. And that's obviously a door that is very much forbidden to be opened in WWE, it seems. But I think overall the Rumble, it's just generally, I've said this, look, it was so long ago, now I'll say it again. It is generally the one night of the year where anything can happen. And there's little nice things that happen in Rumble matches that don't usually happen. Like, we mentioned him earlier, like Akira. There's a chance here where Akira Tozawa gets to wrestle in the ring in a match with people like Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, like people who, let's be real, are he probably never ever going to be on the opposing side of a ring from. But tonight, for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 minutes even, he could be able to be a part of that match and that moment. And you only get this at Royal Rumble. This is the thing. WrestleMania, look, it will always be like the top tier kind of thing that we as wrestling fans kind of always strive for. But I think for the workers, the Rumble is a chance where, for a split second, they're able to be like, everyone's able to be a main eventer, aren't they? Because you're all part of this kind of huge match.
Yeah.
You know, because some, you know, I know you mentioned it earlier, Scott, you're not a fan of the run of the title, but it's a case of like in 2016, there were genuine like mid-carders, lower card guys who would never have got, you know, near a WWE Championship match who had one in the main event. I know, obviously, again, 10 seconds or 10 minutes or the whole hour in the match, like you're still in the WWE Championship match with people like Roman Reigns and, you know, Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. You know, you're still ticking that box. I'll leave you again with a couple of Rumble related facts. Did you know that The Undertaker was the first person to point at the WrestleMania sign? He did so in his.
I saw this mention the other day actually, but it's a shocker that
he matched with Batista. WrestleMania 23. Yeah, 23. Right, the last WrestleMania also not in high definition. If anyone that up. And did you know that in the recent years, the number 30 has become the lucky number, as we are now up to 5 winners of the men's match, all coming from number 30, including last year's winner, of course, Cody Rhodes.
He's the days of 27, right? That's nowhere near.
He's 27, yeah.
27. I think it's second. It's still second on the list. It's still somewhat held up.
Okay,
but it has not had a winner since 2001, when of course Stone Cold Steve Austin won from that number. But of the past decade at least, we've had 3 winners from the men's coming from number 30 in 2016, 2022 with Brock Lesnar, and 2023, of course, with Cody Rhodes. So, and the teens still seem to be the number, the bracket with the least amount of winners coming from that bracket. With most recently, the teen winning in 2020, which is obviously Drew McIntyre. He won from number 16. But yes, it seems that the later you enter, the more likely you do have on becoming the Royal Rumble match winner. Unless you're at Edge in 2021, you have to do the whole match. Go from number 1
it is the beginning or the end. You know, there's not many in the middle. Right, we're gonna rush through these comments before we wrap up, guys. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Lucas as well for bringing the facts. Appreciate your research there and watching all the 21st century rumbles in the past few days as well. We've got. We're going to roam through these quickly, and then I'll ask you a question. For your answers before we get out of here. Critic wants to know who would win in a triple threat match between the 3 of us. We'll find out this from his next question. But Big E is a potential return as well. Sludge Sports says that is a great shout as well. Steve says Kyrie for Iron Woman. That is another good shout as well. Acrylic says, and what are your favorite finishers? All 3 of us. So we'll get into that in just a moment. I'm going to match that into who would win a match between us. So I'm going to say, what's your favorite finisher to do is what I'm going to say. And Sludge Sports says, Seamus is on a pre-show table. I was going to mention him earlier, but I forgot completely because he has flirted around just like Drew has with their old theme song. He mentioned it on his X account a little while ago. So I thought he might actually return with that. So it's strange to hear he's on the pre-show himself. Right. If there's a triple threat between us, I'm going to say, what move am I going to try and do? I always enjoy trying to do the famous. I think it's a really fun move to try and do. I always enjoyed when Billy Gunn got quite high with it as well. So I'm hitting the famous on one of you guys. Rob, what move are you going for?
I was going to be crude, but I think I won't be. But to set you up, I'll get you with a Bronco Buster, and then I'll frog splash you.
Okay,
nice,
Rob Van Dam.
You're welcome.
I've got a stunner one of you, surely.
Stunner. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, but guys, thank you all so much. We've all just hit those finishes, and we're all going to go flying over the top rope like John Cena and Batista did, and there won't be an official winner of this stream. Well, the viewers hopefully feel like the winners tonight. One last comment though. Steve says Ryback return. That would be cool. You know what? Yeah. I actually still say go back and watch our watch along in 2013 Rumble. We did a classic one a little while ago. I think Ryback should have won the Rumble, but there we go. That's another story for another day. Well, we've already had that conversation, but there we go. You can always check back on that as well. But again, thank you to our guests tonight. Once again, of Dom and Andy, thank you so much for sending in these videos. Thank you, of course, to Lucas and Rob for joining us. on the stream as well. Again, we'll try our best to be back later on tonight. So subscribe so you get the notification for it. Press that little bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling. And guys, enjoy Royal Rumble. It's been something that a bit of a meme in the past few years, but I've had the song in my head all day legitimately because of this. But it's the most wonderful time of the year for a wrestling fan. Now to WrestleMania,
Yes.
we are on that road, and we will be hitting you with a lot of content on that road as well. So from myself, from Lucas, and from Rob, thank you all so much. We'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.